The CXA anniversary tournament is only just getting started. We just watched qualifier number 1. That was one of 3 qualifier lobbies, not 2 like I had initially thought. And the top 6 teams with a couple of 7th placers are here now for the winners finals. And we've taken a look at this lobby. Ben, it is looking like a very competitive lobby. Some of the best tier 2 teams in North America, some tier 2 teams from Latin America, even some European representation. Everything to be excited for.
I mean, I've given a good fist bump there because exactly of the European teams. You can tell from the voice coming from across the pond here for this stream. I'm so happy to be joining you, Happy, here this evening. We have got an incredible roster of teams. I am super excited here as we're going to be jumping into World's Edge.
Yeah, it's looking like one of the CC finals lobbies out of North America with a lot of North American T2 teams specifically, accounting for most of this lobby, but definitely a number of big names. Mean Guys, formerly Nice Guys in the lobby, North American Pro League team. DMG, North American Pro League team. Aurora, European Pro League team. And plenty others, including Team Inferno, including Keepstar on Enigma, who was in Pro League last season. There's a lot of T1 experience, but also, like I had been talking about, a lot of Tier 2 players, specifically from the North American region, looking to prove that they could be in competition to maybe make Pro League for the upcoming split. This is a big tournament, and I think that this result will tell us a lot about what PSQs are going to be looking like for the next month or two in the North American scene, because it really is just a who's who of Pro League contending rosters, if they're not already in Pro League as it is.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, looking through, we obviously got to watch yourself cast a great session number 1 with some standout teams. Obviously, we mentioned Aurora already as one of those teams that played really well, but there were some teams in there, such as Fully Talked, DMG, who have really standout performances. And I am excited to see whether some of those teams that we didn't get to see, who were performing in lobbies 2 and lobby 3, what they're going to be able to bring to the stage as we jump here into our games.
Yeah, the lobby 2 was won by Mean Guys, formerly known as Nice Guys, which is Cody, Sang, and Hambino, a very formidable team in their own right. And they were the team that won lobby 2. They got 105 points, which actually beats Aurora's score in our lobby by 1 point, as Aurora were only able to get to 104. And the winners of lobby 3 were Team Inferno, presumably VGUK playing under the name of Crypto today, as well as Ace B Grems and Rapping, all teaming up together. They got first place in that lobby. It was much closer, though, as they were also contending with Zesty Besties, No Name playing with Enemigo, and a few other teams that got quite a lot of points. But it's all led us right to here. Our first lobby of the day was very inty. It was a lot of the best teams establishing themselves as the best. But this lobby, though there could be some early fighting, as a lot of these teams love to fight, it'll be very evenly balanced if, just the prowess of these teams is anything to go off of.
I completely agree with that. I mean, obviously the lobby, as it's slightly degraded in quality as the first session went on, as maybe a few teams started to run away with the points. But as we mentioned, it is not going to be the case in this lobby. In the winners bracket, I think there's even a chance that we might even get some higher quality action here than we might do in the finals, purely due to the level of quality that we're seeing in here. So I'm super excited to see how this does go. Looking at the legend selection, not surprising to see that we've got a lot of Alter and Caustic across the map. What are you expecting to see as we jump here into our first game?
I mean, I'm expecting to see a little bit of a slower start, especially compared to the games that I'm used to casting right now. So fortunately, we'll get a little bit of time to get settled into the game before we have 11 squads left with Ring 1 closing. But in terms of legend compositions, like you had talked about, a lot of Alter, a lot of Caustic, specifically a lot of Caustic more than anybody else would be what I'm expecting. Normally Newcastle or Crypto paired with him, depending on if you have 2 fraggers you want to let get active in your Crypto chills in the back, or if you have somebody who is a little more comfortable on that anchor role fragging and playing late in the fights to play the Newcastle, so your IGL can be a little bit more active in terms of gathering info without the Crypto drone. But either way, looking forward to seeing a lot of that. Probably a lot of Valk early on as well, but I really think that combo of Caustic and Newcastle will be something that a lot of teams are going to bring to the table. As already, we were talking about it before the game started, Fully Torqued picking staging on this map They are a team that is going to in every single lobby that they're in, and already it looks like they're kind of priming up for a fight against Mirage Voyage, so I would expect to see either of those teams, either the staging team of Fully Torqued or Lithium Esports at Mirage in the kill feed relatively soon. And with that, DMG looking to very quickly make a rotate through. No fragment team this time around. Last set they were still landing in Monument, though they had a team to contend with at Fragment. But the other thing that's a big difference here is that last set DMG were pretty much just inting, because everybody was. They knew they were one of the best teams in the lobby. So they continued to just demonstrate that by running other teams down. This time, though, Caustic, Newcastle, even the Altar, which isn't really as useful for the macro rotates, very good for the micro, but more so you're picking that if you're thinking you're going to lean more into a zone play style and you want one place to settle down. Specifically, if you're picking it along with Castle and Caustic, it's very clear these guys, the goal is to get to ring incredibly fast. Still just about 4 minutes left on round one closing. They've already well left Monument. They're in towards Epicenter. But it's Team Inferno running into Lava Fissure and getting our first kill of this lobby. It's Recon going down from Manitos, a team that had a pretty good run in qualifier lobby 1. But up the staircase, Rapping gets put down by Bucks, but Bucks will soon thereafter be put down himself by Vega. Full squad wipe with 2 of those kills going to Grims. Nobody finished off on Inferno, and it's looking pretty safe for them. Still need to make their way out of Lava Fissure, though. They'll have plenty of time to make that rotate, as it looks to be a northeast side pull towards Climatizer, I would say, just based off what little we were able to see so far. But just off of that alone, just off of that little bit of ring info, very different than the World's Edge zones we were seeing in Qualifier Lobby 1. We had 2 south pulls. South pulls are pretty common. There are a lot of different places this could go, though. And I was, expecting to see a lot more zone playstyles, but it's very clear that Mean Guys are not looking to play that way. They've already got the Octane brought out in game number 1. There is a lot of crypto, though, like I had expected. So Lithium Esports is going to be one of those crypto running teams. They're running up on Lava Fissure, trying to take some KP onto Team Inferno, who somewhat recently finished their fight. Lithium do still make their way in, but they aren't really getting the entry they're looking for, and they can't really do a lot without a good scope on their cryptos G7. So Lithium are just going to chill, maybe wait for a little bit of a better opportunity, but it looks like Team Inferno is starting to see red as they pop the bangle and try and look towards Lithium for a fight that it seemed like Lithium were going to start in a spot that is very much nowhere near the ring. This should be pretty isolated in terms of just a 3-on-3. Crypto getting ran down, though, as Crusader Ronak has a guy right on top of him. He cannot get out of his drone anymore, or else he risks losing his life to the person who just sprinted towards him. But it seems like he'll be at least okay for now. Rotate into Epicenter for Asian Banger, and they're going to try and chill out for just a little bit. This is not a playable spot long term, though. They're going to wait for a little bit better of an opportunity. Probably just try and reset here, but that's the problem with spots like this. You get stuck in this position, we just need to pop a couple shield cells, and then we can try to rotate, but you just don't get the time that you need. No teams nearby are going to let you pop those cells, but Kenji's actually going to get knocked down on Zesty Besties. That's a team that was applying a lot of pressure onto that squadron that just tucked into the corner behind the Newcastle wall. So that could easily make things a little bit harder. The team top Epi also as well, applying a lot of pressure to Zesty Besties, who are trying to apply pressure to the team stuck in the corner in Asian Banger. So a lot of these teams already rotating pretty fast. It's very clear. We've had quite the upgrade in quality between games 1 and 2. So it's still going to be a lot better, right? We've already lost a few teams and still some fights happening somewhat early, but clearly there's a much more of an idea around getting to zone fast for some of these squads. Not all of them, though. I think Fully Torqued actually just lost somebody in the chat. I had been talking about seeing them fight pretty early on, especially towards that Mirage Voyage site as they were landing staging. But seemingly not what happened. At least they haven't fully fought yet, and by the time that they do, they're gone. It's unemployed, chopped, and gay Hambino himself to take that kill, as Zesty Bestie's still just chilling inside the ring. It seems like most of these teams are pretty set on this being a climatizer pull, which honestly makes a lot of sense. That's what you'd have to expect, but it's not, doesn't look like it's fully going to go there, right? Like most of climatizer isn't still in. It looks like it's a little bit more of a pull towards the more eastern side of Clima, but even then, most of it's not in. I think Grandma's is definitely the best spot to play, and so it's good that Zesty Besties were able to get it. As 421 actually in a completely different fight. One already down in QU. Wiki and Dezapine are going to have to try and get away with what little they can. Wiki, much further behind than Dezapine, and also running the same direction means that not only is he going to die, but he may get his teammate killed if they choose to continue to look that direction. But Dezapine's got another team on the other side. So this is a dead man running. He's running in double time, but all that's going to do is serve to make his death that much faster. Keepstar donated a KP by 421 to go down in 16th place. Everybody else alive has locked in a little bit of placement points. Aurora, one of those teams, maybe stopped at just 15th, especially if Future Streams' Nade has anything to say about it. Slab's got to take an alter TP just to keep himself alive. That will be chaseable, and both of his teammates are going to get finished in the meantime. He's not even going to bother sticking around, but DMG not going to bother chasing after him. Instead, they're just going to take their very nice spot in zone, their couple KP, and be happy with just that. No reason to int your whole game away, and you think you've got a pretty solid spot in the ring as it stands.
100% there. Apologies there. I've just had a little. I'm back. It's been lovely. You've been in an absolute flow state there with the casting, so I haven't been able to dive in, but it was lovely hearing you cast. And obviously, as we mentioned, the quality is up. 15 squads remaining. Looks like we are going to be heading down towards Climatizer, and it does look as well that Slab, who obviously was down to 1, has headed up to Overlook, but might well be getting into a little bit of engagement right now with January and February very close by. In the meantime, we are seeing DMG getting a nice bit of loot inside of the zone. Can't be complaining about their position at all.
Aurora fully finished off in just 15th place. So that will be, yeah, it's very tough. A team that you expect a lot out of. I mean, I think a couple of changes recently, or at least a slight change, but Mean Guy is going to get very aggressive. They got a knock towards the top of Epicenter, and they've snuck all the way up here. They try and go for the re-knock on the Newcastle squad, but right behind them is Sang, and he's going to shut everybody down. The Newcastle tries to make something else happen, but Mean Guys end up with all that KP. Cody's going to die, though. That's Ignite Isaac, who will get knocked, finished off, and they'll have to TP back towards Hambino. The drone was facilitating a lot of aggressive plays, but now the plays being made into Mean Guys. We're going to have to try and sprint, run for the hills. Sang caught from behind, though. It looks like Hambino's going to have to go for the reset all by themselves. The crypto drone is going to make that a little bit easier, but all this open space toward Epicenter just going to make it even harder.
Managing to find a little spot here within the icicles, jumps into that drone, so they have got that lovely invisibility passive, and they're going to be trying to get up and get Sang's banner. We'll have to wait and see whether they do manage to do that, but there is a respawn beacon right nearby, so hopefully it does mean the Mean Guys will be back to a full cohort nice and soon, obviously depending on whether Ham is able to get over there and stick the res. It looks like it is probably going to happen right now. But what that is going to mean is people are going to push up onto that res, as the Dill Ducks are going to be getting into an engagement right now, down by the train tracks. There is a team located inside right now, and I believe that might well be January and February Team Brown.
Yeah, that's the squadron still stuck. It's a little bit tough for them to try and work something out in this position. The fight down towards the train tracks, it seems like a really good fight for them, but because of all this open space in this area, Dill Ducks recognize that that's almost definitely getting thirded, or worse, they're going to get killed while trying to walk down. So might as well just stick to our spot now and see if we can make a play towards the future ring. Because of the nature of this pull, it's going to be awkward for them. Maybe settling for a spot just below the bridge, but that could just get them sent by the team on bridge. Maybe having to run through the lava in Climatize, or even worse for them. So it'll be interesting to see the rotate they elect to go for into the future. But for now, it looks like it's still a pull towards this north side, but the next pull in Ring 4 is going to get really interesting.
It most certainly is right now. Obviously, you mentioned that a lot of teams comfortable down by the Climatizer way, but there are a few teams who have decided to play more towards that west-hand side, over towards Survey Camp, and they are going to be benefiting from that. But right now, January with some lovely shots, and Jacob taking down Lina Bob's victim, going down from that team. The Dill Ducks taken down to at least the duo. Brown are pushing up and getting aggressive onto this. Caustic Barrels looking to slow down their push, but they're managing to get good angles. Lina Bob's does get taken out, and a Caustic is cracked in the meantime as Slowaking gets taken out, and the Dill Ducks are gone. It's a quack for game number 1.
Yeah, really solid kills by Brown. January and the guys are going to shut everything down nice and easy. February is February is Johnny and Jacob's Wolves, I want to say, but that could be backwards. But either way, it's the team of January, Johnny, and Wolves with a very solid start to this game. Not just that 3 KP, but even more, as they've got at least 5, I'd presume 6, given the number of kills that we can see the KP shared across each player on this team. But Brown continues to make their way forward. They were the team that already had the bridge as well, so they just go back, clear their backside, but now that they come back to the bridge, it looks like they're getting contested for it just a little bit. Evac tower to possibly get back up, and the EMP to try and scare off the team on the other side of the bridge, but they themselves got EMP. That's not going to discourage them, though. They still sprint straight into this fight, looking even just for control over their old spot, and at the very least, they will get that.
In the feed. Meanwhile, we are seeing Asian Banger taking down CIMJs. I don't know which team they're playing on. We'll have to find that out in a second, but they are going down. Also, we are seeing a Kraber in the chat. Gyozi taking down Asian Banger OZ Rain. It's not just OJ Rain in here. We've also got OZ Rain.
He's gone down. That's tough for Asian Banger as Brown gets really good shots, but seemingly a ton of fights happening at the bottom of Epicenter. A lot of teams very desperate to start clearing teams next to them, and Brown becoming one of them. It's Asian Banger, the team at the bottom of Epi. Asian Aimer went down, but they've got the Caustic Newcastle combination to zone out that other team nearby and get the res immediately. Bokyu does need to drop out, because the Caustic cast was also inside from their opponents. Asian Aimer rather, going to go down once more, but the trade this time in for Bokyu onto Gyose, and they'll even get that finish too. So Asian Banger stand at a firm advantage, especially if Bokyu can start to get this res. He escapes the Caustic gas, and he does just that. Asian Aimer, his death timer is probably about 10 seconds at this point, but they continue to pick him back up and reset this situation with the Newcastle.
I mean, it shows the power here of a Newcastle, but also the Caustic as well, not allowing that push inside because of the smoke. They also took down Gyozi, which means they do have a Kraber. They found out the Crypto as well. No Name gets eliminated from this lobby. We are down to our final 10 squads as round 4 has closed. And as you can see at the minimap in that top left, we're going to be heading straight over to Survey Camp. We've got the likes of Dig Vibes team, as well as Zephyr and Hazel's team as well heading over that way. So it'll be interesting to see who gets themselves a good spot in zone. Asian Banger, meanwhile, are going to be taking that Valko, going to the sky. They've got their wall hacks. They're going to be knowing exactly where they need to land. Right now, they're pinging a spot. Whether they're going to be able to find one, we'll have to wait and see.
Want to go towards the top of the cliff, and they seem to have spotted somebody all by themselves. I think that's Hambino. Either way, it is a Crypto, and the Crypto getting shot at. No, it's Crusader Runnock from LGC, but Asian Banger, they're going to get punished for trying to land out in the open. They got the knock they wanted, but 2 of their teammates now knocked down. They do get the finish, so at least 1 extra KP locked in for them as a result of this game. But OZ Rain is eventually going to fall right after. They're one of the 2 teams that seemingly died on this rotate. More definitely going to be in weaker spots like this one that Brown are going to look down at. They've got the height advantage on that other team to their side, and the ring continues to pull right on top of where they're at. But this position is very unstable without a ton of cover to play here. And they do spot the Moby going off just next door. That could be a possible opportunity for Inting. It looks like they're going to try and take that chance as Mean Guys and Zesty Besties fall. But Brown, recognizing that it's not necessarily a safe fight to take, so out in the open, DMG going down to 5-star in the meantime as they're clearing all of Survey Camp. And Brown decide not to go for that fight. Just try and keep yourselves alive in such a good a position.
They certainly have got themselves in a good position right now, and they've got that drone to be able to surveil everything around them. It's Lithium Esports with the team that pushed up onto them. Lithium, meanwhile, are going to be getting Gooning for Wig, also closing in. So that might well be a fight that happens very shortly. Gooning for Wig up against Lithium. Also, the other team that was playing out of epicenter was going to be HYK. They've got both a Kraber and a Car right now. So that is a team you want to look out for. But right now, Brown are in such a wonderful position inside of the zone. They've got this icicle. They've got this cover. All they need to do really is just try and hold this down and wait for the zone to close and for teams to fight and fall around them. Particularly as well, they've got some great angles as well onto them as Lithium Esports are looking to potentially push up onto this. We'll have to wait and see if the push does come.
Lithium don't really have a great spot. It's still kind of out in the open. You can tell they want to pressure Brown for their position instead. They like where Brown's at. And Brown on a little bit of a height disadvantage here, but they break the crypto drone. So Crusader Ronok is not going to be able to int well off the back of that crypto. In February, going to take a lot of damage in the opening of this fight. He'll have to back off again, but they're getting pushed by a different team. LGC is going down to someone else, but now Brown going down at the hands of everybody around them. Good not going to dig vibes for one for Feb. Jacob going to pitch in for even more, but the damage just isn't enough to lock out the fight. 5-star, lock in a top 3 position with those kills onto Brown, but they did lose dig vibes. That has to be corrected immediately. With only 8 teams alive, there is one duo still set in this lobby. 5-star do get a reset off, and they've got all 3 up, but the nades are putting so much pressure on them. Right back down goes Dig Vibes, and it's Juicy Schmoves with the knock. I believe that's Gooning to Wig in a very good position. Lithium Esports going to get taken down, and now Gooning to Wig in the God spot.
Gooning to Wig right now. They've been holding survey camp for such a long time, but now they're going to push up. They're going to try and take it, but Juicy Smooths takes a huge amount of damage, and with the car, Dark is going to be able to expend so much damage out onto them. You can see that Newcastle has got the shields cracked. They're trying to throw in some damage from afar, but unfortunately Dark does get shot, about 75 damage. Right now, 5-star, they've got the cover, but they are going to have to move up towards them. Surely this is Gooning for Wig's game to win.
It's a 3-on-2 as well. They've got the castle wall to play behind. You just need to play it a little bit safely. That almost wasn't safe enough out of both Newcastle and Caustic. The shots are great out of 5-star. But are the shots from these 2 good enough to make up for the fact that it is just that? It is just 2. Caden and Dark are nowhere near each other. They're both playing to try and find someone isolated from their teammates, but that means that it's the perfect opportunity to take this 2 versus 3 and make it 2 different 1-on-3s. Reverium gonna lock down the first kill, and although the trade almost in for Dark, he can't even lock down the next one. The shots are so clean, but he just doesn't have it in the tank. The team with the last pick in the draft stuck at Dome, the final POI picked in the POI draft on an epicenter pull named Gooning to Wig, has won the first game of the upper finals.
You can't write this script. You actually cannot. But as we were saying, you cannot write this script. What a finish there for Gooning for Wig. I mean, nice Wig. He brings so much joy to the scene, and bringing joy right now to the last pick. As we mentioned, they had Dome, the 60th pick of the POI draft, and they get a win out of it. They made their way over to survey camp. They managed to clutch up, and in just insane fashion as well. Congratulations, Gooning for Wig, with 5 kills to their name as well. A lovely little 17-point win. We can't be too mad about that.
Yeah, they were the lowest point team to even get here. We were promised all top 6 teams from the qualifier lobbies and then 2 of the top 7 teams because one of them got left out. They had just beaten out the other 7th place team in a different lobby by 4 points. And that's how they got here. As a result, like we talked about, they were given the worst POI pick possible, 20th in every single round. Shipyard Arcade and Trident were their other 2 POIs, but this one was the last one they got the chance to pick. And boy, are they glad that they went for it. Even on a poll that isn't even good for Dome. You got to wait for Stacks and Mod to rotate out. They're on Caustic Newcastle all the way down from Dome, somehow making that rotate work. An incredibly impressive game for a team that kind of went under our radar for quite a long amount of time. You would first mention them really in like the top 5 or so, looking at the map and recognizing that Gooning to Wig was in a pretty solid spot with some good weaponry. But it just wasn't really a team that felt like they were on the radar at all until suddenly, wait a second, they're getting kills and they really are competing here. Reverium, Fluent, and Juicy Smooths, some really good players in their own right, but in terms of this kind of a lobby with some of the names in here, not the team you would expect to win game number 1, especially with the 60th pick POI. Just a really sick story to see Gooning to Wig come out in first place.
What you can also see, though, as you look through that leaderboard, is that the kills were sort of fairly evenly spread out. And you only really have one team who's got into the double digits, and that is going to be 5-star, who did come in second place with 12 kills and a nice second place. They are going to be going away with 21 points to start this winners bracket. And that is a lovely position to put themselves in with 5 games remaining. They are going to be fully up for getting themselves into that match point finals that would be taking place tomorrow evening. I am certainly excited to see that match point finals, and I'm sure that everybody else here in this lobby is as well, as long as they're able to get there. But we still got 5 games, and I think there was a few teams that fell early. Just looking at some of those teams, is there anybody that you sort of go, you know what, poor performance game 1, what are they going to do in game 2?
I mean, I think it's really what it tells me at the bottom of the leaderboard is that like a lot of these very aggressive teams, a lot of our lobby qualifier 1 teams struggling early. Fully Torqued taking a very early fight, they're losing it. Manitos taking an early fight, they're losing it. It seems like maybe it was taken onto them, but still. Aurora, even them. Maybe the thought process is that all those teams that came from qualifier lobby 1 are thinking, oh, I just need to steamroll everybody else. It's just a really inty tournament. And so coming into this game, they didn't really change up the mindset. I mean, we were still seeing Aurora, who came into game 1 in lobby 1 on Crypto Caustic. They came into this game on Alter Valk Bang, a very aggressive composition, Fully Torqued. As always, playing a very aggressive composition. Even Manitos playing both Vang and Balk. It seems like a lot of these teams really expected that they were going to get the chance to run other teams down, and they stopped. So they got stopped, rather, in the process of trying to do that. So I'd imagine that we'll see those teams start to lock in. Other than Fully Torqued, I think they'll continue to play their play style, and at some point they'll get like a 30-point game because that's just the kind of team they are. But otherwise, I think we'll start to see teams rotate a little bit faster towards some zones, especially since a lot of these other zones are going to be very good in terms of getting there early. Epi's quite a bad zone for getting there fast because there aren't a lot of great spots to play that fast. If it goes like Skyhook, even like a Thermal, there'll be a lot more for teams that rotate fast to work with. So I think we'll start to see teams favor that a little bit more, and this lobby will get less and less inty as it goes on. But I definitely expect a lot more out of teams like Aurora and Enigma, who also had a very good lobby 1.
Absolutely. I think with Aurora, they got the second pick, and they actually went up and picked Climatizer. So they were very close and nearby, and that's not how they like to play. Here, historically, we've known Aurora of old trying to play on edge. This is a slightly different variation of the team with Hayaka in there. But with Slab and Oirain in that squad, they are still going to look to get aggressive and look to try and maybe play on edge or semi-edge. And I think having a zone so close was not so favorable, particularly when you have DMG who land up on top and proceed to take them down. Not a great start for Aurora, but still a long way to go. That is for sure.
Yeah, so Gooning to Wig after the first place, not quite in first place on the whole lobby. That still belongs to 5-star thanks to their 12-kill performance, including 2.3k damage out of Dark and 5 kills. That wasn't quite the most damage anybody in the entire lobby had, though. It was actually Delroar on Zesty Besties, who dropped a 3k, with both of his teammates dropping less than 1,000 damage. So Delroar locking in 5 KP and 3,000 damage. Him tied for being the kill leader and getting the most damage in the lobby after getting a 7th place in game number 1. So incredibly good individual performance out of him to highlight that. But otherwise, generally, it feels like a very balanced lobby so far. We've got 5-star in a big lead, Gooning to Wig obviously having 1 in a good spot, and then Brown end up in a pretty good spot with 9 kills as well. But behind that, 9, 9, 8, 8, 7, 7, 5, 4. It's really, really even. We still can't quite see a favorite just yet. And even then, some of the favorites we had coming in with underwhelming performances in the first game, you need to bounce back through games 2 and on.
100%. And also, it might just be that World's Edge is not your favorite map, or you've got a bad POI draft. I mean, we saw in that first session, obviously, casted over Aurora winning games number 3, 5, and 6. Both of the E-District games, and 1 on Storm Point as well. So maybe it's just that people are waiting for their favorite map to turn up. I don't know about you. I'm excited for this lobby in particular to get over to E-District. And if we can get a Lotus pull, I'll be happy.
We already have one Lotus pull. I think we might have hit our quota for at least the day, but who knows?
You know,
we could definitely get more. Oh yeah, it was sad. It wasn't even really like a fun Lotus pull. It was kind of like a ranked game at that point. By the time we hit E District in our last lobby, everyone was they were just running people down. But this lobby already off to a much more fun start. It was still a little bit aggressive at the start, but like I had talked about, expecting that maybe to tone down as we start to get into game number 2, a couple of those teams getting punished for it. And that's kind of what happens when you've been playing in qualifier lobbies and tournaments like this, and then you bump up in quality to the next lobby. You start to realize like it's not going to be that easy all the time. And so you got to start to lock in as we move further and further. And into game number 2, still on World's Edge. We'll see which teams lock in and try to maybe get to zone a little faster, and which ones confirm that they are living and dying by the sword early and often in these games and try and take some fights as fast as they can.
I mean, obviously, the team which we're going to be looking at probably to start with is going to be Fully Talked, who landing over at staging, I think, have got the teams at Mirage or Landslide in their sights. And I wouldn't be surprised if Unlimix Kate do get that push over to Mirage pretty soon. As we are going to see a ring, and we are going to be going down to the other side of the map, heading down towards potentially Thermal Station way. Wouldn't be too mad at seeing that. And it does look like we are going to head down to Thermal Station. Yeah, I'm excited to see a thermal pool. We've already had one of them here this evening, or this afternoon, or this morning, wherever you are located.
Yeah, definitely going thermal. Off ring 1 pop, I couldn't exactly tell, but yeah, you can definitely tell off of the ring 2 information that we have on our screen that soon will be shared with you, that it is 100% going to be a thermal zone. Could go back thermal, but realistically with thermal zones, it's basically just you get in there, you take a spot, and then you see where it ends up pulling from there. It has a tendency to maybe ping pong through different spots in the POI. And this one, to me, doesn't look exactly like the ones normally do. When it starts to pull all the way south towards thermal, or towards like the back bag of thermal rather. So either way, we shall see as it continues. But Team Inferno seemingly paranoid of someone maybe being in their POI. It's looking like someone spots something. Grems seemingly spotted something, but whatever that was, not nearly as important as the early fight going on between Fully Torqued and Asian Banger. Bokiyu already gone, and OZ Rain already leaving the POI because he recognizes this fight is as good as over. I think he might still be close enough to Harvester that Fully Torqued could catch him, but for now, they've already caught 2 of his teammates, and it is very clear that as they do in every other lobby, Fully Torqued does plan to just let loose early on and often in these games.
I mean, we mentioned that they might, from Landslide, push over towards, from staging, head over to Landslide or Mirage. They've actually ended up going straight over to Harvester and has caught out Asian Banger, who Jose Rain has had to dip away as Gyozi's team has actually managed to push up. But Dill Ducks, some lovely shots there coming out of Lina Bob's victim. Lina Bob's victim has been the one that's fallen, and that is going to be Blazy Q's team. As they jump down the hill right now. Sia, it's an aggressive composition right now. Sia and Maggie, it's one that they want fights, and that's exactly what they're getting. I don't know what they're thinking, but I love it.
Yeah, Lina Bob's victim, also known as Moto, was taken as I looked into his overstat to confirm what his actual name is. But Moto, a guy who had a pretty solid ALGS open LAN, has been a pretty good T2 player for quite some time now. Taking down IDK, the former Pro League squad that I think might have been relegated after this previous season, but they played under a lot of team names, most notably Leave No Witness with Zilach and Panic. Or I think Panic was formerly known as Panic, now Blaze Q on that one squad, already going down early. They also didn't have a great game number 1. So 2 straight games in, yet to see any points for the Argentinian side. Hoping that maybe things will get better once they get off of World's Edge. For now, though, they're the only full team dead. Fully Torqued have also gotten even more kills. I think that was Gyoze who they just took down in the kill feed. But no one fully finished off just yet as we tune in to see Fully Torqued fully engaged in a fight. Pipex is able to get one back, but then Kate's got the trade right back onto Pipex. And I do think the last member of that team left is Enemigo, whose username is a bunch of boxes. So don't blame me if it didn't get that one initially. But Pipex and Gyose should be both downed and finished off. And a lot of early kills, but not a lot of finishes of squads yet.
HYK are also just nearby to fully torch, so they've got to be careful because you've also got another team looming on the horizon. That is going to be Lost at Sea. You've just moved into the center of Lava Siphon, but we are going to be seeing HYK making their way up here towards fully torqued. As you can see, getting some shots down from the height, but they have got to be careful, as we mentioned, because when you're going up against fully torqued, you are going to feel their full wrath. And a lovely shot there coming out of KJ the Pro.
Newcastle down as well.
That is not a good character, but they do have the altar, managing to pop the portal and drag their player back to safety. Thank gosh for that team right there. HYK managing to get the reset, as we are going to be moving their way down, as we mentioned, towards Thermal Station, as more teams are making their way in. The fully talked staying in the Lava Siphon area, and DMG are one of those teams who've made their way up into Thermal. They, as we know, had a very decent performance up in this area in the first set. Not able to come out with a win, getting taken out inside of this building, but they have posted up early. They're anticipating a very similar pool to that they had in session number 1.
Yeah, similar looking as well, the way that one after Ring 2 looked like it might be pulling deep back Thermal and then pulled up to the buildings that DMG are playing on right now. So good call on them, though I don't think it's going to be the exact same ring pull. It's at least good to go with something that you know can work pretty well, as Hyarka from range is going to knock down Grems. Dangerous loss for Inferno, but because of the ring and the incoming threat of that ring, Hyarka is going to have to abandon that fight. Also, the incoming threat of a team from Monument trying to push onto Aurora is going to dissuade them from taking the engagement onto the Landslide team. That team will get a reset, and instead O'Rain is going to start to take down Flinzar of a completely different roster. Aurora starts to sprint up. They'll get the finish onto Flinzar, and they're actually getting pushed from behind now. So many teams trying to take down Aurora. Many men wish death on them, but they are completely unfazed, even by the Maggie Ball, because Oirain still gets some good shots out, but he does go down. And that's Moto was taken, able to get that really nice knock onto the Newcastle, no less. But they got thirded again by Mean Guys.
This is utterly insane right now. Aurora somehow are surviving, but they do have Mean Guys on the height, and surely Mean Guys, knowing how they play, are just going to send it on to Aurora. They've got to be careful right now. Oirain looking to potentially Newcastle away, but Mean Guys, meanwhile, have just got sent a few men forward, whilst unemployed Chopped and Gay Hambino is sitting at the back, throwing down some shots from range. But it's Slab who is the first to go down. Thankfully, they do have a Newcastle. They're going to be able to stick this one behind the pillar and throwing down the ultimate as well. They are expanding utility right now to try and survive this push, but it's working right now as Sang goes down. The RE45, beautifully shot there from OJ Rain. As they're just dipping and diving right now. This is insane. Getting the finish off the Sang before they are able to get the pull. And so for now, Mean Guys are going to be a duo, making their way back over towards Landslide, where Infinite have actually just managed to get the reset, as we can see on our screen.
Yeah, Rapping and Grems just got back up on the board. Mean Guys could have maybe sent that, but they were only 2 players deep because they lost Sang, so they'll have to try and make a different rotate happen. Hopefully find a reset of their own somewhere that isn't the default Landslide respawn beacon, as Manito is stuck in a very rough spot after a rough game number 1. Trying to rotate into Thermal from the north side, but first you got to be outside the ring at all. And just as soon as Recon might save himself from the Ray-Ban sponsorship inside the ring, it's instantly going to start closing once again. So they're going to have to continue to rotate back into the ring through that north side choke, which could also be getting held by a different team. It isn't right now, but they're fighting up against Asian Banger inside of Mirage Voyage, who's going to ult off the roof of Mirage Voyage with the Valkyrie ult to try and get a rotate going. This does mean that Manitos has a pretty solid rotate here, but Asian Banger is landing just on the other side of the choke that they wanted to go to. So beware of that. If Asian Banger chooses to turn around rather than running to a building, they could easily gatekeep Bucks and his squad, but it does look like the goal is to end up on one of these buildings DMG is holding right now. Or actually, no, DMG's gone. They're not there anymore. These buildings are free.
DMG have actually decided to move away from this. They are actually going to get a completely free building, and with the Rampart in play, they are going to be able to hold that down well. But we're not going to know if it's a good building until the next ring closes. In the meanwhile, we do have Brown pushing up towards staging area where 2 teams are still going to be. That is, of course, going to be the Den Pride squad of Team Manitos up against Team Inferno, and it is going to be Team Inferno that gets the first knock, as we can see in the kill feed, and Manitos are going to be going down. Gussing there for Manitos, but very nice for Team Inferno, who've made their way out of the zone and getting their way in. Enigma, meanwhile, going to be over by Tree, making their way up, and should be fairly safe for now, I think.
Uh-oh. Slowikins. Oh, he's going to die. Oh, he died to Ring, trying to rotate in from Harvester. Heartbreaking stuff. He was so close. Even just a couple less ticks, and he might have been able to live it. But Dildux will go down in 14th place. That was a team we saw getting a little bit of action earlier on, but they will not get too much further outside of Harvester, as Enigma, one of those teams, gatekeeping the southern side, possibly looking to run in through the train tunnel. A lot of teams on edge here. Still a couple of free spots inside of Thermal Station. Nobody's at the train station itself. Nobody is at that like one little island building towards the western side of it. A couple different buildings in here inside of Thermal that are still available for some of these teams should you maybe pop a Valkyrie ult from the edge. But it looks like a lot of these teams, the goal is not to maybe work your way into Ring on purples. The goal is to kill a couple other teams on your way in. And the goal for DMG could be to take height soon. Possibly chuck some vert nades up, but this Alter TP from Future is very much ready to try and make the play. Even just kidnapping someone. No info, it'll be done blind. But if they can get even just one kill on this height squad, that could be huge for later.
That's exactly what I was thinking. And we can obviously see lovely through the walls with the nice highlights feature. And I was really hoping that we were going to see a little kidnap there. That might well happen, but Aurora have managed to Valcult and just get themselves a lovely spot. This is the space that DMG were in earlier, as you can see from the leftover rampart walls, but they are getting pushed up upon pretty much instantly right now. It's not going to be an easy one for them to hold, as DMG look to try and do a little bit of an ultra play, and it hasn't quite worked for now. Rampart, though, coming out and absolutely spraying, praying. Charmander falls.
Oh, no.
This just keeps on falling. The seeds have fallen. Whether we'll see them rise into a beautiful tree over on Storm Point, we'll have to wait and see. But for now, seeds out. 12 squads remaining. DMG have taken the height off on this station.
And that is dangerous as well. You walk up, you try and go for the kidnap play, presumably from DMG. They get knocked in doing it, but they have a rampart, and so it was all just a bait. Even if we lose someone, as long as you take the altar portal back, everything's gonna be okay. And that's exactly what happened, because they still have the Sheila on board. And so they just completely wipe out Seeds. Charmander and his 2 teammates, whose names are very hard to read. It's Charmander, Zephyr, and Newcastle, who is Hatch. So Charmander, Zephyr, and Hatch are all gone completely from a position that is still inside of Ring 4. They're definitely going to be kicking themselves after trying to make that play happen. Not even really because it was their play, but it was because the team tried to make a play into them. Either way, though, Brown still alive on the edge, looking to take an engagement towards the train station. As January going to take an altar portal, but nearly losing his life for it. He'll have to try and port back, and they'll need to try and play a little more carefully.
They most certainly will. Up currently on the other side of the gondola area. Brown have got teams nearby, however, so they're going to have to watch out. Looking to try and get some shots down. Obviously, with the rampart wall, you are going to get some nice extra damage out, but that is only if you hit your shots. Enigma, meanwhile, are going to be eliminated in the feed, and that's Pipe X taking them down. So we are down to 11 squads remaining. Lithium Esports trying to make a move up right now, going over the lava into the tubes, and they are going to be pushing up right now onto a team. I think it might even potentially be a solo or a duo. But they have taken the height out. You can actually see, there you go, the full 3 stack above. Pushing up onto this right now. But Hazel has been taken out and it's Revivium who takes them down. Lithium Esports down to just 1 player remaining. Down go Gooding for Wig, the winners of game number 1. And down they fall, but we do see in the feed, Kate's has got a Kraber. Terrifying thought there that fully talked, even more scary than they were before. Meanwhile, Goody for Wig with some lovely wall bounces, get the finish onto Lithium Esports. We are down to our final 10 squads.
Really good KP for Gooning to Wig, as they are clearly playing the placement incredibly well. Another dome rotate made to look pretty good. They've got a good spot on this island that could still be in the next ring if they just play their corner. But it's also not a great spot, right? Like, you're stuck in a corner. If anybody notices, there are any number of things that could be used against you. If Maggie drills are on the board, nades, anything of the like, could easily make your life in that corner the worst. As No Name trying to make the rotate in, slowed down by the Seer Q. Everybody's going to die to ring. Gyoza has to pop an alter Q just to try and keep himself up a little bit longer, and Enemigo has no such luxury, so he will not live much long after that. No Name shut down in 9th place, as a lot of those kills are going to go to a couple different teams in the ring, one of them being FT, another one being Dark and his squad. But this does not pull up to the height where Aurora are. Instead, it falls back down. It continues to ping pong, this time back down to the main spot in Thermal, where DMG and the middle of Thermal height are still in for ring number 5.
I was just about to mention DMG right there. They had the spot that Aurora were right a moment ago before they took the Valkyr, and I thought for a minute, moving down to the middle of Thermal, that's a dangerous move. It very often does bounce its way back up, but right now they are looking like they know this map better than anybody else. Putting themselves on that height is such a great opportunity for them to take this away. Meanwhile, Mean Guys are going to be up on the height by this gondola area, looking down onto Aurora. As in the feed, DMG taking down Gooning for Wig. Chaos Feelings getting all 3 of those kills. They can't be too mad about that, as DMG getting more KP with a great spot in zone. You would be not surprised if they come away here with at least the top 3.
Not even a little bit. Because they're still in for this next ring too. Normally top Thermal is just a really good spot to play because you can guarantee get a lot of KP, but in this spot, they're not just getting the KP, they're even getting the ring pull right on top of them as well. Like you said, this isn't the most normal Thermal pull. They're normally not in on this position towards rings 3 and definitely normally not 4, but even in 5 in this one, they are still in a playable spot. Aurora in a playable spot as well, just hoping someone drops into the lava in front of them. They are still in here into the next ring, but it's definitely not great. So as they watch teams drop, they've got to lock in some of this KP. Another EMP goes off. The Rampart walls are a little bit worse off than they were just before. So Aurora, a little bit scared to peek. They can't lock down any of this KP, and suddenly this spot has turned into a nightmare. They're getting naded and EMP'd all around, but they are still surviving. Here comes 5-star looking to change that. The no-scope Kraber doesn't work, but eventually Aurora will start to fall. Asian Banger falls first. 5-star up to the height, goes right back down with the Kraber, because it looks like it's just one member of Aurora still standing. So Dark's got to go for that armor swap and see maybe if he could go for that third party, but instead, Hyarka's actually taken down Caden. I think that might have been a little bit of a reset for Aurora. And Hyarka, the one still standing, keeping his EMEA team alive. 5-star, not so much. Aurora, though, only stuck with just Hyarka. They're getting thirded, and though 2 of the kills go to Caden, the last one to February, and it's top 4 for the remaining teams.
As DMG, of course, swing by 5-star Dark right now in such a world of pain. Even though he had the unlimited ammo Kraber, it is not going to be enough for them to close this one out. As DMG, as we mentioned, at least getting a top 3, and this might be a top 1 right now, as frag grenades are going up. They're trying to get the knock onto this player right now, as a respawn is also happening. This is utterly insane, and it's going to be Sang's team, Sang and Hambino, looking to try and hold off right now. The Mean Guys versus DMG. At the moment, DMG are doing a good job, but why DJ has fallen down? They're going to have to use the altar portal to try and get their way up. Can the drag come out is the question before he gets finished. It looks like they will.
Sang also on a really rough spot, heavily pressured by Brown, the other team alive in this 3-team endgame. And only 1 left on Mean Guys. It's Hambino just hoping to outlive either one of these other 2 teams and rat their way to 2nd place. With DMG dropping down, the zone ends on top of them. The Rampart walls and the castle wall are going to make this so tough. That castle wall placed such that the lava must be taken to get to this side of the ring, and it feels like an inevitability for DMG in game number 2. Brown tried to cross the lava, and they get across with a little bit of success, even dropping an altar portal for the teammates behind him. So this fight might be turned on its head. Chaos Feelings a little too far forward, given that he's on Newcastle. He's the first one down. Reset potential gone, but DJ's still alive. Only for a bit longer now. It's got to be Future, but he gets this second. Pivots on a dime to try and look for 3, but now the Rampart wall walls of DMG being used against them. These last two altars, both on full HP, trying to dance around each other's portals better than the other. Who can find the other one? With their back turned, still a knockdown, up for future streams to try to use Bates the Res to try and bait a push, but they're going to be much more composed than that. So why not pop the cells? You've got the overflow. You can make this easy. The Rampart walls are so good to play around, and though there was doubt, it truly was always meant to be DMG.
What a finish there to game number 2. DMG taking that height of thermal nice and early and coming away with the win. I have to say, that was beautifully done there. Playing behind those Rampart walls was unbelievable. Just under the pressure as well. I absolutely love to see that from Future. So congratulations to DMG. And that's going to shake up the standings as well, for sure.
Certainly will. DMG, a team that we expected a lot out of coming into this set, coming into this lobby. They were in 4th coming into that game. So as it stood, they were already in a pretty good spot. 5-star got pretty far after a 21-point banger in game number 1. So certainly a chance that they could be towards the top of the standings as well. But for now, DMG, that team, you'd have to imagine at least top 2. Like I said, maybe 5-star, but DMG had so many kills through that game, getting up to the height, getting the kills before they got to the height, and then winning that last 3v3 on top of that. It really must have been close to like a 25 or 30 point game out of DMG, given how well they played that.
It most certainly was. 19 kills. I've just a little look there on the other screen that
Wow.
they got. That is utterly unbelievable. You mentioned that if you can get that nice height in thermal early on, you can get the kills. And with a triple take in the hands of most of those players, I believe, and Rampart Wolves to boot, it's just damage supreme, just absolutely raining hellfire down from the top with 19 kills and a 1st place. That is 31 points. That was very quick and very bad maths there from me, but 31 points for them in that game alone. That surely secured them through to finals now.
Yeah, I mean, 31 points is normally where you look at towards like these 10-team lobbies with 6 games. You look at around 30 points maybe is the threshold. If they can get like 5 more points in 4 games, they should kind of be chilling. Don't want to say that too early. Got plenty of time left in the day, and we're going to take a brief break before we continue with our day. But before we do, we want to give a shout out to Cracked Media and a thank you to them for helping put this event on, as we hope you've all been enjoying the content here at Cracked Media. And just a reminder that none of this would have been possible without everybody involved with both CCA and Cracked Media. So make sure that you give them some love in the CCA Discord. If you've missed out on any of the action, we already had one round earlier today, or any of the action to come, every single VOD will be on Cracked Media's YouTube page. And while you're there, make sure to check out the Cracked Media merch and affiliate deals, because, you know, purchase and stuff like that helps make these events possible. If you're looking for bi-weekly esports content for T1 Esports, make sure to check out The Loading Screen on YouTube. They upload every other Tuesday. And if you're looking for gaming industry news, check out XP Share, live every other Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on Twitch. You can find these and more related content in the Cracked Media Discord, and you can find the next 4 games of our set coming up right after this break. 2 very exciting games down, and we cannot wait for the 4 that lie in wait. Stormpoint and then E-District for our last 4 games of the night. 2 World's Edge games through, 2 polls in very different positions, and a first place for DMG with 5-star and Brown just behind them. Already 3 teams hitting at least 30 points, and it is a very electric start for a few of the teams in this lobby.
It most certainly is. We mentioned that 30-point mark is that sort of number that we're going to be looking to hit as the cutoff for the winners, for the finals even of this winners bracket. I'm looking now, there's a few teams down the bottom that I'm a little bit worried about. And we already saw in session number 1, 42K and Manitos play really well and get themselves obviously into this winners bracket, but they're currently down at the bottom with 0 and 1 points respectively. I'm a little bit worried for a few of these teams, but we are going to be going over to a brand new map, as we mentioned. Stormpoint is the one that we are going to be seeing. And it's going to be interesting to see because we have obviously had some bans. Caustic out of the action. Do we know who the second legend is?
Looks like it's Alter.
Alter
On
has
the
gone.
overstat, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So Alter and Caustic out of this game now. It's going to be interesting to see what we're going to be sort of seeing and cooking up. I'm not going to be surprised if we see a little bit of Valkyrie potentially is to try and get themselves into good positions. This particularly for those teams who really need to get some good games, maybe try and push themselves up into some nice top 5 positions and good placement points. I mean, I'm just saying that purely because I'm a Valkyrie main and I am
Wait,
totally
my
100%
goat!
biased.
Me too!
Let's go! Oh yeah, Valkyrie
yes.
mains. Rise up in chat, please.
Valken Crypto are definitely my 2 favorite. It's very different, but if it has a man scan, I'll probably enjoy playing it too. But yes,
Valkyrie though is going to be seen, but not really seen as much as I personally like. Looking through at the different legend compositions at the moment, we're still seeing obviously a lot of Newcastle out there due to the power that has already been displayed this evening of what the Newcastle can do. We're also seeing a lot of Rampart as well as a couple Watsons and Catalysts being thrown in. February currently rocking the Catalyst, which I'm not too mad at. And with the new season on the horizon, Catalyst might be used a hell of a lot more.
yeah, and in a sense, Watson too, with like the changes to Fuse, maybe he gets better. Watson a good Fuse counter. It's a little bit less direct, but still, yeah, Catalyst definitely something that I think we'll get used to seeing more and more, as well as just generally all controllers with the general window changes. But alas, they're not here yet. As Lost at Sea already, they're here at Command Center. They landed here, though. What's more interesting is the team that's fighting against them, which is Clover, X, and Enigma, running over from Stormcatcher. And before Ring 1 even starts closing, Lost at Sea are going to be left without, I believe that's Vermilion, who's gone down early on. Flinzar knocked and finished off from Dildux, but a trade instantly from Slowakins onto Chaos Feelings, but that is actually going to be revived. So Slowakins and the Dildux are going to have to look to sprint at that immediately, but it's 3 guns up right after that for DMG. The first place team on the day already gifted 2 more kills, possibly a 3rd if Moto isn't ready for them. And he tried to be ready, but it's only so easy to get ready for DJ and the gang running straight at you. Feels like just a matter of time until Moto taken off the board, and it'll likely be Dildux, the first team to fall. As DMG landing at Bean, clearly the intent behind picking Bean at all was just to run at your neighbors. And the neighbors in question this time around is Dildux in 20th place.
Down full to Dildux. And it's a bit of a tough one for them right now. They are currently sitting in 14th position with only 7 points on the board. 3 games still remaining though, folks. So it is not all over for them as the Seeds. We mentioned them in the last game where they fell slightly early on, and we're seeing if they were going to rise up and create a beautiful finish on Storm Point. Now we see some lovely flowers on the right-hand side as they are going to be flying their way down towards Downed Beast. This is an area where Aurora selected. They had a pretty good pick. I think this was their 2nd pick as we went through the POI draft a little bit earlier. So they are going to be pretty happy with the POI. They're going to be able to get themselves looted up and booted, but they do still have white shield. Only Hayaka on the blue, and obviously Rampart as well due to the control of perk, where they get that lovely little increase in shield. But Slab taking a hell of a lot of damage right now, and it's tough for them to see as Hambino has actually gone down in the feed to Candy.
Yeah, Aurora, this is the 2nd game out of the 3 that we've seen them get a zone pull, but they're playing like another kind of Turbo Edge POI, so maybe not fully what they wanted. Though this comp, I think, definitely works in terms of a hybrid composition. You've got Crypto, Wraith, Rampart, which can operate very well in zone, as well as if you want to try and fight teams out of zone. I'd even say maybe sometimes this could be a little bit better in zone than out of it, because you don't have a ton of fighting util outside of just that EMP. The Sheila can be awkward in 3v3s if it's not like, you know, close range, maybe later on in the game. So I do think this works pretty well, especially when you've got the height of Down Beast and you've got it really early with a Wraith like Oirain, because he's going to go for some crazy kidnaps. The EMP and the Crypto Drone is going to try and facilitate him straight in front of the Newcastle, but just not quite well placed enough to lock down that kill. But they do actually get him. The Newcastle slammed into the portal. Oh, so unfortunate for Wiz. He wasn't in the portal yet, but the Newcastle ult that he popped sent him into the portal's range, and Aurora, with the Blinkster impression from Oirain, is going to get some early KP.
I mean, that was unbelievable there. The slam was almost perfect. However, unfortunately, straight into the hands of Aurora. They're going to be very happy with those kills. It's fully talked. Of course, they're going to be getting aggressive right now. The Maggie going down, however, is not what they are looking for. However, they do indeed get the squad wipe. HYK are going to be falling. Your 11th place team out in 19th. And right now, this is definitely going to be pulling continuously over towards the downed beast side, I believe. So those teams that are currently in there are in good spots as Manatos do fall to DMG just to the southwest. This is me trying to remember my compass right here of down beast in those sort of buildings just up from the mill.
Yeah, the compass at the top of the screen moving around so much is it messes with you, but Fully Torqued already locking in a little bit of KP. Had a rough game 1 where they seemingly lost the first fight they tried to take and thus didn't get any placement because, you know, it's Fully Torqued. They were not taking their first engagement within the top 15. They were taking it well before there were 15 teams remaining. And they will look for more to take as soon as physically possible. The rest of the lobby, though, working their way towards the west side of the map, as it is a very clear down beast pull. If you can get into maybe Mill, that could be all right for a ring or two, but it's down beast pretty much or nothing, because the areas around down beast can be pretty tough to get past unless you have the proper mobility, as Zesty Besties making their way through the open with a very unique composition. The Fuse Conduit combination is definitely one that suggests they're here to fight, and they're here to make themselves as annoying to fight as physically possible as they look to see if anybody's inside of Mill. Enigma going to be taking the fight towards just west of Cascades, looking for a little bit of KP. They get the finish onto Grems, but I'd imagine they're going to try and run down the rest of Inferno as well.
Looks like they are going to be doing just that and trying to get some shots down, as Inferno potentially going to be jumping on that cannon. We do indeed see them flying their way across. Thankfully for them, there is nobody on the other side of this right now, so they are going to be able to land safely and make their way down to No Name and Bean. Meanwhile, 5-star all the way up in North Pad, assessing their options. Obviously, they do have a crypto drone on Diggs Vibes, looking to try and find a spot. Right now, this is completely empty, this built pavilion. So they are going to be able to make their way up, and it's really good use here of both the Trident and the crypto, showing the power of what a crypto can really do in the right hands. They are going to post themselves up, probably put the car down for now, and maybe wait until the next ring pulls before they make their way in. Meanwhile, we've got actually a hell of a lot of squads already inside of the zone right now. But one team that is not inside the zone is going to be No Name. They're going to be inside of Jurassic, grabbing that Evo cash right now. They do have a team pretty nearby, however. Just leaving Pylon after a reset is going to be Hambino and co from the Mean Boys. Leaving Pylon, about to enter Jurassic from that southeast side. No Name have got to keep their eyes... Their sort of eyes are oh my gosh, my words have failed me there. You know, they've got to go. They got to start looking.
They gotta look around. Gotta try and take a look. Enemigo is gonna get off the crypto drone and recognize that team in Pylon. This is a fight they really want to take, seemingly unfazed by the idea that it could be None, or it could be Mean Guys on the Octane, getting very aggressive, and actually Launchpad able to help quite a lot in just getting around this team towards the river rather than having to take the fight in Jurassic. And you know what? The No Name are not really going to contest them on that. They're just going to let it happen. No reason to really push that aggressively for a fight. You want to at least get a spot into the next ring. With 16 teams left, we had Zilloch and Panic, or Zilloch and Blaze Q, and their team, who was left as a 2-man after their third Wiz died on the infamous Newcastle kidnap. They died inside the middle of the ring, but other than that, so far, it's just a couple of knocks being traded by different teams who probably aren't going to make too much of an effort to push each other.
Right now, No Name obviously making their way through Ceto Station. I think that was the right move by the Mean Boys after leaving Pylon to not go through Jurassic. They'd obviously just got that reset, so we're probably leaving with not very much loot and not much in the way of actually being able to fight this. And Enigma, however, are looted and booted right now. Keepstar on the Maggie, with a Bangalore and a Valkyrie. It's an interesting composition, this one, because it can get you to a good zone, but it also can push aggressively. And that's what we're seeing there. Keepstar with some lovely shots, cracking the fuse on the team opposite them, which is going to be Angry Hornet in Kenji's team.
And that Kenji squad stuck between this team and then DMG, who's at the no-name just north of Mill. So going to be an awkward rotate for that squadron. A team we haven't really gotten to talk too much about coming into this game number 3. I haven't really said Angry Hornet much.
It's a great name, though. I have to do.
Yeah, well, it is. It absolutely is.
It's a wonderful name. By the way, we are aboard with Enigma right now, and they are going to be making their way down. Or at least they have got the option to go down and grab themselves a red bin. A lovely little, potentially a Kraber, we might see. I think it's Ange who might go and have a little look for it in a little bit. I'll keep an eye just on my other screen here to let you know what they indeed come away with right now, because if they do have a Kraber, this will be a great way for them to potentially make their way into zone, to maybe pick somebody off, use a Valko or something, or maybe just move up. Oh my gosh, they do have a Kraber.
That's huge.
Let's go. You love to see it.
As Ring 3 pops, it's pulling even more north towards Down Beast. It's one of the evasive, like, deep Down Beast pulls. Most of the time it ends towards the front, maybe the south side, closer to the Mill no-name, but this one looks to be going all the way to the back. So one of those teams that we got to watch their rotate of very early on, but might have actually died, because I actually can't recall. I can't recall the team we saw rotating near like the Mill side to get specifically to the back here. But Sarust and their team are in a pretty solid spot. LGC Hazel's in a decent spot, though he is a rat, so he will probably not be too long for the world. Gooning to Wig also in a really good spot as well, as they are in the middle of the Beast's belly itself, with Aurora sitting on the top. And Asian Banger, though they got knocked a couple times in the kill feed, still standing. 421, though, not so much. They will be taken down by Fully Torqued, trying to just navigate the edge as best as they could towards the north pad side of things specifically, as Fully Torqued might look towards Dig Vibes and their team to fight next.
Asian Banger, meanwhile, they are looking down towards those buildings, as we mentioned, to the south. That is where DMG currently reside, as well as 2 other teams in Keepstar's team and Deadly Sue's and the Angry Hornets team as well. So potentially some teams falling as this ring closes. DMG have got a tough position to make their way up into zone, particularly with teams fighting, but I think they are going to be benefiting potentially from these other teams falling, as Kenji does indeed fall. Nades being expended right now from Asian Bangers to try and get the finishes onto them, and I think they probably will happen with this ring closing pretty soon. 23 seconds until 3 closes, and I do think we're probably going to have at least 1 or 2 teams fall on this ring close.
As the Zesty Besties trying to make their way in. Angry Hornet actually a replacement player for Delroar, who had an incredibly good game 1 and 2. So not having Delroar on both could make things a little bit tougher. Asian Banger seemingly yet to get any KP on the board. Probably a little disappointed seeing this ring consistently pull away from him, as it continues to just pull right on top of Down Beast. But Zesty Besties not very disappointed to try and find these kills. Clover and Keepstar both are going to fall, and they've walked up on a treasure trove of KP. Going to be a tough rotate, especially with just really the Bangalore to assist you in your rotates, but at least you're able to get a kill or 2 before you make the effort to try and get fully into zone. The Bang Smoke seemingly protecting what would otherwise just be dead meat out in the middle of the water. The nade spammed by Angry Hornet just to try and lock in a finish, and will get the knock on a Gyoze, as well as big damage right after. Could honestly get all the kills himself, and he will. 2 nades are going to fully finish off No Name, as Gyoze and Enemigo both go down at the hands of a frag grenade, and they get the finish onto Clover. That was 2 different teams, all wiped out by Zesty Besties, and Angry Hornet's nades, along with all of his teammates, are going to help out quite a good bit, with Deadly Seuss even getting a knock on the Kraber. That could be some good entry onto Asian Banger in this building.
So many kills there to the hands of Kenji. That is actually insane to see how many they did, but they are going to be pushing up onto them. And Zesty Besties with the Kraber in hand. What damage are you going to be able to do? Only 1 bullet in the chamber right now. They'll probably hit the reload in a second, but whether they use a shot, we'll have to wait and see. As Sang is taking down January in the feed. That is a fight that is happening right now. There is can't even see with the map, so we're just going to stay on board with Zesty Besties instead. Deadly Sue's trying to get some shots. Is that too crazy? No, it's just
double Kraber hitting it wild, but still, Zesty Besties try to work their way forward. Instead of pushing Asian Banger off of the knock that they found, they're actually going to push inside of the Beast and fight Gooning to Wig, though from behind they have to worry about the angles that Asian Bangers still have on them. It's a tough spot for ZB. If they work any deeper, they could easily end up falling, not just from the team that's actually inside of the Beast that they'd be 3v3ing, but the team behind them getting angles, and the team on their side, it seemingly just dropped right down on them. It's DMG out here, who are looking for a little bit of KP, but they're quickly going to back off as they recognize the threat to their position. Fully Torqued are going to go down in 11th place, just barely missing out on double placement points, instead getting only the one. Top 10 for everyone remaining as it continues to pull just right on top of the Beast towards the very west end, the backside of it. DMG in a little bit of a ditch, not quite happy with their position, probably going to have to fight their way out.
This is an unbelievably insane ending right now. 10 squads remaining as Deadly Seuss does get that knock with the Kraber. They're going to be pushing their way inside right now. Are we going to be seeing our first team fall within the top 10? We'll have to wait and see. As DMG are pushing around the outside, Future takes a hell of a lot of damage from the inside team. It's a Rampart with a Crypto as well. I don't know if that is DMG popping one defensively, but it doesn't really matter for Zesty Besties because they're just continuously pushing up right now onto this team. Some good shots going out, and the Conduit really showing their the pressure that they're able to do because they can just take damage, pop a little Q, and just keep on pushing forward. Zesty Besties are looking pretty good, and they've taken this nice underside of the ring. They're going to be inside, I believe, as well, which is great to see.
Deadly Seuss should have a new meta rate here or something. This Conduit is enabling them to do so much, but no Q online means that they've got to back off, and no Q online means that Angry Hornet is falling. It's Dig Vibes to get that knock, and it's a push that can come off the back of it. A couple of nades chucked right before Angry Hornet went down, as well as once Deadly Seuss was able to. That's going to keep the other team at bay for just a little bit longer, with Asian Banger going down in 8th place. The EMP out of their opponents on the outside is likely going to mean they Dig Vibes in them. Try and push in. This is their only real play, and it's straight through a Thermite. Dig Vibes and Caden both fall, and right afterwards, the last couple of shots landed onto Dark. It's 5 stars, gone down in 7th place, with Zesty Besties having taken arguably the best spot left in this game. The inside of the Beast, which is almost half of this round 5, which is almost closed.
I mean, what that really showed there, you had a Crypto EMP. Normally that can spell devastation to your team if you get hit by one. But not if you've got a Conduit, because the EMP goes off. Instantly, that Conduit hit that cube, and they were pretty much back at full health by the time 5-star pushed in. It was such a tough spot there for 5-star to push up against this team, whereas DMG has somehow managed to find themselves actually in a really good spot inside of the zone. And they're actually not going to have to move as far as some of these other teams who are currently located within or on top of the Beast. A little quick scope potentially coming out there from the Zesty Besties, who are continuously holding and taking pressure on the inside of the Beast. The belly of the Beast, you might even say.
They've got a good spot, but eventually they'll have to move out. Perfect opening right in front of them. They could easily move out from in just a moment, but teams all around. Aurora right above them, just to their left as they walk out. That's going to be Charmander and Seeds finally having their first really solid game. Just to their right, it's going to be Lost at Sea, DMG across the way like you talked about, and even a couple of members of Gooning to Wig somehow still existing just outside. Charmander from this side is able to get a good knock onto Angry Hornet. The res is in thanks to that support of the Conduit, but that is not a good omen for what lies ahead for Zesty Besties.
It most certainly isn't, but what is that they have got an unlimited ammo amp if they want to chuck that on top of the Kraber. So that might well come out soon. We'll have to wait and see, as they're sort of bouncing between different ones. There you go, you can see the infinite ammo. They have indeed picked it up, trying to take some angles with the Krabby Patty. Unfortunately, not able to hit on the Valk ult that's being popped right now. I don't even know who that is. That's Fluent & Co.
Gooning the Wig?
Yes,
they get up.
Gooning for Wig, who came in at 20th place, have now potentially secured themselves a top 5 in this zone, as Aurora on top of the height right now. They landed at this spot. It is a great zone for them, and they have got the opportunity to see this one out. Not a great start for them so far in the winners finals, but with a Rampart on the height, they can just put damage down. This is Gibraltar ultimate of all things, currently doing a huge amount of damage to the rest of the teams. He's fallen down right now as Slab, and of course Slab is going to continue to push, continue to try and take them down. DMG full, Seeds full, Aurora right now are on an absolute tear. They've got the opportunity to take this one away.
Another 3-man, and then a duo left alive to deal with them, but Hyarka's gone down, so it's only O'Rain and Slab. They don't have a castle of their own, so they can't get that reset quickly, but Zesty Besties has shut one down just after. It's Kenji and the gang on the other side of it, with Aurora just trying to rampart down that Q, that Newcastle Q that's oh so annoying. They do get the good knock. Actually, it's K2SO. It's Lost at Sea. They found their way home. Just from the side, they played it low-key, let everybody else take each other down. And Vermilion and his squad will take game number 3. 1 point coming into this game, and such a pivotal win for a team who needed it so badly.
Lost at Sea right there. I've got the blue light on behind me right now because of how well that they did right there. As we mentioned, 17th position here going into that game. Bare minimum, they've got 12 points, and obviously the kill onto them. We're going to see how many kills they end up getting. 7 kills. That is a nice little jump in the standings for them. 19 points will take them on to 20. They're just 10 now off that sort of golden 30-point mark that we have mentioned. And we're going to head over, it looks like, to potentially the scoreboard.
Yeah, we'll take a look officially at that scoreboard. And you can see that just with that, Lost at Sea hop up to a very high place on the leaderboard. They are now in 8th place. You can't see how many points they have total, but you can see, I can tell you that it's 20. But only being 8th place at 20 points through 3, that could indicate that, maybe this lobby, maybe that threshold will be a little bit higher, right? If teams on the low end aren't really getting that many points, or if the teams up at the high end really aren't outscoring everybody else by that much, you can often see that threshold jump from above 30 to maybe like 33, 35. So some teams that we thought might have been safe already needing to get a couple more points. Realistically, the only ones that I can pretty confidently say are good to go are DMG and 5-star. Everyone below them at least needs a couple more just to get some insurance, or at most is IDK, and they need literally any points on the board. Both they and 421 yet to get a single point. It is not the start they were hoping for.
It definitely isn't. I do want to give a big shout out there, by the way. Aurora have, as well as obviously the Lost at Sea crew jumping themselves up from 17th position. Aurora also with a massive game there. 14 kills to their name, a second with 23 on the board. They've now put themselves up onto a very nice 32 points in 4th position. They're looking pretty good. They only need to get a few more points, as we mentioned, to push themselves probably up. I think as long as you're above 40 points, you should be safe into the finals, is what we're sort of anticipating right now. So a few points still to make for Aurora and for Brown as well, who sit on 33 points just above them. Gooding for Wig, meanwhile, did fall down by a spot and down onto 27 points alongside the mean guys. But yes, this is a exciting one. I do love Storm Point because you can get some great end zones, and that is certainly one of them down by the Down Beast. I don't know if I've actually seen I've never actually casted myself that exact end zone where it's pulling onto the back of the Down Beast, and that was a fun one for sure.
I definitely haven't casted it. I've seen something similar, but it normally goes a lot deeper than that out to the water. It's normally not that close to the beast. That is the closest I've ever seen an endgame get to that position for sure. So a really interesting zone, but a fun one all the same, as like you talked about, a couple of teams make a good jump off of that. Really exciting to see a couple of these teams in that top 10, like Lost at Sea, Asian Banger to an extent, Gooning to Wig, playing heavily into placement and consistently getting rewarded for it. Gooning to Wig only have 10 kills. They've got 27 points. Lost at Sea, they've got 20 points with only 7 kills. So a lot of the teams that we're seeing find a lot of success are doing so off the back of some very good, zone calls, some very good IGLing, some very good spot calls. And that's something that's very exciting to see, since earlier on, and often earlier in tournaments like this, it's a kill race between some of the best teams. But we've already got an incredibly competitive lobby for our upper finals lobby. And it just goes to show that there's even more exciting action coming up, because this is only the second lobby that this tournament has had to offer so far. It's only going to get even more competitive here as teams get chopped through that lower bracket and we get closer and closer to that grand final.
I mean, what's interesting to see, as we can sort of see on the board, Gooning for Wig and Lost at Sea, they came into this as Lost at Sea is the 18th seeded team. Gooning for Wig is the 20th seeding team. So you've got two here of the lowest ranked teams making their names up at the top of the leaderboard, which is something you really do love to see. Maybe you just had a bad first set, but you're coming out to show, and that is what you love about Apex Legends. You've always got the opportunity to bounce your way back and show what you are truly made of, what legendary status you can prove on the big stage. And that is what they're all looking for tomorrow in our match point finals.
Yeah, it's kind of relates to what I was talking about too. Like those earlier lobbies, they can be a little bit in tier. Maybe they're not so great for the teams who are much better at, calling zones and going to good spots early, because you get to a good spot early and then you get ran at by a team with guys who've been in Pro League before. But, now you get to this lobby, teams are a little bit more respectful. You got here, you earned your way here. You didn't just sign up for the tournament and get placed into a qualifier lobby. You top 6th or maybe top 7, one of the qualifier lobbies leading up to this. So you know what you're doing. So teams are going to respect you when you take space in zone. You know how to show that space and hold space well. And so you don't really need to go run around on edge and kill everybody. And it's really nice to see a change of pace, because, like I was talking about in Lobby 1, you kind of couldn't do that. You had to go kill people. These teams that struggled in the Lobby 1, because maybe that's not their play style, already finding success. As we get into game number 4 on Storm Point, very early start towards checkpoint for Asian Banger and them, as it will not be a great zone for their interests. If they were hoping to get into it fast, which I'd imagine they were, as they're playing on the Valkyrie Rampart Castle, it's looking like a little bit more of a barometer pull, a pull that would have been good for the barometer team. Actually, no, it is Mean Guys. Yes, Mean Guys are the barometer team, and it's a pull that I would think they like in theory, but in practice they've kind of been running very aggressive comps, so it'll be interesting to see how they end up playing this one.
I mean, Mean Guys are playing a super aggressive comp right now. I just had a little look what they're playing. Currently, it's a Maggie on Sang. You've got a Sparrow on Hambino, and then the Octane rounding it out of the trio. The Mean Guys are really not here to play zone, and unfortunately, that is exactly what they're going to have to do with this competition. Sitting probably on that nice bit of height in barometer. They're going to potentially, though, be able to pull themselves up into a nice placement point with this zone, though. So, as somebody who currently is sat on 27 points in 6th position, this is the opportunity that they've got to potentially just secure themselves into that winners, into the finals. And I know for a fact that they're going to be definitely wanting to do that. Meanwhile, we are having Seeds and Aurora already having a fight, and DMG also running in. So in zone right now, we might start seeing a few things linked up in the kill feed. Enigma, meanwhile, are over at Cascades, getting the scans and trying to make their way down to zone.
I feel like by this time, normally we would have had somebody die, and we will start to see some action in the kill feed as Caden gets traded by Desipine, as that's 421 getting some action. If they could even lock down 1 KP, it would be a point for them. They cannot catch a break today. I think that is their 4th straight scoreless game, and this one the worst of all, because at least normally they would get like 16th or 18th. This time around, the best they could get was dead last with seemingly no kills to show for it. It's fully torqued. If they get no kills to show for a game, that doesn't mean that means they died trying, and they're gonna try and go once again for some frags here towards the team inside of Command Center of HYK and the gang. So fully torqued. We'll start to look at them, maybe look for a little bit of a fight, and for a moment it looked like maybe they would turn away, but you know who we're talking about. You know that's never an option.
Fully talked right now, rocking that Maggie on KJ. I mean, we've seen KJ doing some absolute disgusting movement stuff whilst we were watching that first that first session, I believe that they were on the Sparrow doing some dirty movement, and now they're doing dirty movements with the Trident of all things. With the slight changes to the Trident, it's almost a movement vehicle now, which is just insane. Before, you just boosted everywhere. Now you can just sort of tap straight on it. It's unbelievable to see. But Fully Talked are just going to be aping this one, pressing that W key, and I wouldn't be surprised here if KG just goes up the back, goes through the back door and just sandwiches this last member of the HYK team. Actually, I say the last member. It looks like actually it's not the last member. One of the players has actually managed to make their way out of here. So they're only going to pick up the 2 kills for now. And HYK are actually going to be pushing their way over towards sort of wall area. And they might end up going towards sort of checkpoint area to get the reset. Meanwhile, we are seeing already a lot of teams making their way down to Barometer. One of those being DMG in a big fight right now up against Mantinos.
They are not on the right end of it. They already had Future Streams knocked, and that's their Newcastle. The worst person to lose that early. The Wraith takes big damage, Q's out, but Chaos Feelings has got to do the rest of the work himself. He gets a third of the way there. A good knock onto Den Pride, but he's got to do a little bit more than that. Only a white knock on Den Pride as well. If he could maybe just get that finish, it could be good. He will get that finish, so at least points locked down for DMG. That's all they're worried about at this point. They've pretty much locked in that they'll be in that next lobby. You just need a couple more points for insurance, and they will do just that. He even gets a second one on the kill feed as Enigma looks for a fight onto the bottom of a waterfall. With the Newcastle Q letting him know that there is still a team there. The nades are solid, but not solid enough to really land for big damage. The Maggie Q also pretty solid, as it looks like Chaos Feelings has 1v3'd Manitos and gotten his entire team back up to boot at the very north end of DMG. Incredibly solid fight for them. All 3 kills to the Watson. And incredible position as well, as this is probably one of the better buildings you could get this early on.
It definitely is. DMG, by the way, massive shout out there to the team. And the player on the Watson also has just been absolutely slaying right here this evening. Playing on the Newcastle a bit earlier and doing huge damage. Currently, the kill leader of their team with 12 kills. However, YDJ and Future Streams with 10 apiece going into this match. Really, sort of, this is a lovely, evenly spread team in terms of how they're playing and who's taking up the kills. Meanwhile, we are having Enigma still on this sort of hill up from Jurassic. There is Aurora on the other side of it, on that in that building, just on the other side of the mountain towards Barometer. And for now, there isn't anybody coming through Jurassic behind them. However, they might well get Lithium Esports and Fully Talked coming up in a couple of minutes' time. But we'll have to wait and see whether that does indeed happen, as it does look like we might well have somebody going down in the kill feed very shortly. And that is indeed what happens. Lithium Esports, the solo Crusade run getting taken out, but some lovely shots meanwhile being expended here by Keepstar. The Maggie drill from afar, trying to get a little bit more damage, but not getting a knock for now onto Aurora. Tuning for Wig over at checkpoint. Yeah. As we check down also on Brown over in Cenote Cave, trying to hit the beacon scan. This is going to be important right now, because this beacon scan is going to show where this ring is going to be pulling next. I'm interested to see where this is going to go, and it's going to continue to go into Barometer. So whether we're going to be going deep into Barometer, we'll have to wait and see. But I, at the moment, think that DMG are in a really good position in that building that we saw a little bit earlier.
Yeah, they are in a very solid spot. Lost at Sea also making their way, also have made their way in already at the most northern building in this complex. Brown, not quite there yet, but they'll get there. And they'll get a KP on their way. Complimentary kill for the Hard Edge squad in Brown. Rain taken down, and all of Asian Banger falls in 15th. That's kind of a team where you can't really afford to go down with such little points on the board. Asian Banger haven't really had any outstanding games, but they were still towards the top 10, just getting there off of some consistently solid games. So they're going to feel it a lot harder than other teams. You'd imagine they have less upside to maybe get like a 20, 30-point game, given that they've been rotating normally pretty fast and just getting some solid placement, picking up a couple kills along the way, as some of the, less touted players in this lobby, less high experience than others, though they are a pretty solid CC team in their own right. Definitely a team that has, that is a serious finals threat and could make some noise in PSQs coming up. It doesn't seem like they're necessarily going to get that many points in one game at a time. So getting a 15th here going to be quite detrimental to them. I'd imagine they're going to fall a decent way down the scoreboard. after that one. As it continues to pull deep into Barometer, Brown in a pretty happy position, trying to move forward for an even better spot. But for now, No Name going to work their way onto the opposite side of Ring as Brown. Just take a backside building and see where they can work their way forward from here.
Unfortunately, based on where the Ring is going to be pulling next, No Name are literally just outside of it. So they're putting down some nice rampart walls, but unfortunately for them, it is not going to be great going into the next ring, and they're going to have to make their way probably to the underneath of where Mean Guys are in the big tall building. But I do want to say it looks like we are going to be getting DMG with a red bin in a second, which is certainly going to be interesting. But DM 5-star in a decent spot currently in the middle of the zone. They've not got anybody around them. They are going to be popping some shots over at Brown, as the Zesty Besties are going to be going up right now against the Dill Ducks. Rocking that conduit still, I have to say as well. As Lost at Sea do fall to DMG. That was that fight in the middle of the zone. They do have those. They have those two buildings just towards sort of the north of Barometer. DMG end up taking them down as the Dill Ducks versus Zesty Besties. Conduit in play. Unfortunately, the Q has already been used. They are not going to be able to heal up the teammates for now. A lot of damage has been taken, as unfortunately the Angry Hornet gets stung.
That's going to be rough. They don't have the Conduit Q. They're not close by to try and res. You got to try and get a trade, and they do find it on the Slowikins. Conduit ultimate as well to make it hard to push back. They could even get the Fin onto Slowikins too, but the teammates are here now for Dill Ducks. So a firm, proper 2-on-2. Their shields are also fully healed. The problem is their health, and the Newcastle's going to get a res on his Slowikins as well. Knocked out into Kenji. This fight has gone all the wrong ways for Zesty Besties, and it's gone all the right ways for Moto was taken and the Dill Ducks, as they'll lock themselves into the top 12 with a lot of kills on just Moto alone, with 5 locked in for him up to this point. Seeds are also going to fall in 12th place. So another team that had a slow start to the day finally came to life in game number 3, shut back down in game number 4. And we've only got 11 teams left in this Barometer zone, as there's a lot more center zone fighting than there was in any of the games leading up to this one.
Dill Ducks there needed that win, I do have to say. Currently sat in 17th position with only 7 points on the board. That is a massive 3v3. That's bare minimum, taking them up to 10 points with just kills. Actually, well, even more than that, because they got 5 assists currently to Slovakian, as they're going to be looking to do a little bit of a Wraith portal around the corner. It's not a bad spot for them to move their way up into, and they're actually going to get a nice little bit, actually, some rampart walls just left for them, so you can't be complaining too much about that.
A hero's welcome to this rock towards the edge of Ring, as I'd imagine those were from Brown, who had just done this similar rotate a couple of minutes earlier. They actually worked their way towards the full south side building. It was initially one that 5-star were coexisting on across a lot of different buildings. They were in the middle of Barometer and the full south end, but Brown able to punish them and take that building themselves. And 5-star, a little bit overzealous in their earlier positioning, had gone down. Dill Ducks now just kind of move in on the edge. They don't have the Valkyrie. Instead, they've got the Wraith for their rotates, which is going to be a little bit worse out of this position because of all that open space you've got to sprint through. And I don't quite think the Q is going to get you through all of it. Dill Ducks just want to clear their edge and make sure there are no teams on the bridge, on the nut. There is Team Inferno on the nut that they're walking up on, though, so we could have a 3v3, or at least the makings of a 3v3, even if it's just a poke battle out of Dill Ducks and Team Inferno.
As Linabob's victim was moving up, he did also see a Gibraltar ultimate go out, and that's at that building there that Crypto was looking at, where Enigma has just pulled up on the Trident, jumping on top of Gooning for Wig, and that's now what we're seeing. Gooning for Wig taking a load of damage right now from what looks like a Maggie Q, a Maggie ultimate even, that's gone out. The fire is absolutely burning them. Down for just Fluent Tech.
Oh no.
Trying to pop a Valkyrie ultimate. No way he gets this off, and Gooning for Wig gets taken down right there. Unfortunately for them, Enigma proving too strong, as a nice little care package in the form of a box falling from the sky for Ange. 9 squads remaining. Round 4 will be closing in just 45 seconds time.
That flyer looks a little different than normal. As Enigma will get the gift. Fight happening at the nut, though. Team Inferno are going to go down, though. They will trade it out initially. Flinzar was knocked down on the wrong end, so it is actually Dill Ducks and Team Inferno, though Dilducks also lost one just before Flinzar. Flinzar finished off, I think another one downed as well. So it looks like just one left for the Dilducks. Inferno are going to lose one on Grems, though. So the crack is going to be important, because now it means there is a little less damage to do to that last member of Dilducks, but importantly, he was able to get a knockdown onto Grems. And so they're able to get away. They get away thanks to getting that knockdown. Team Inferno now have to try and finish things off after getting the res onto their last remaining teammate. While Dilducks, that last member, is just going to try and get to ring. He's the only rat in this lobby, though. He is the only solo. Everybody else is full power, at least as full power as they could have been coming into this game. They go to the underside, though, and look out! Keepstar, that is not where you wanted to land, and he will instantly be taken down by a Rampart staring at him, or actually Yose staring at him with the Volt, not even the Sheila. But Anges will go down right after to January. So seemingly, Enigma having an even worse go at it than just, oh, we made a bad landing, what are you going to do? They try to go for more spots, they continue to die. Team Inferno looking for a fight towards the north end. Definitely going to be tough to try and work their way through this one. The 20s to try and maybe go for a finish, as Sang is going to finish off all of Brown himself. Team Inferno looking for something. They want to try and go for the port towards that top floor, but he pops the Q just a little bit too late. That's dangerous. Crypto also down. That's Vigluck, who's losing his life on Bangalore. That's not the legend you said you were going to pick. DMG are just sitting in this building the whole time, watching Inferno die outside, and they're very content to just the DMG starting to look outside for a little bit of kills as Fully Torqued saw blood, and they wanted in. KJ the Pro taken out. It's DMG still stuck inside this building with a long rotate up ahead of them, but they will at least get the finish onto KJ thanks to the Q and get a little bit of extra KP thanks to Fully Torqued Fully being finished off with wrapping a rat for Team Inferno and another rat, I think maybe on Dilducks. I'm not 100% positive on that one. All still contesting.
I think Dilducks, unfortunately, did go down to Aurora a little bit earlier on that cross. Mean Guys, meanwhile, are going to be jumping off the height. They landed here at Barometer, and this is their home. And they've got a great spot now within the zone as well. They've got one of the few sort of actual building areas with proper cover to play from. As you can see from the map that very briefly popped up, Aurora on the other side right now are going to have to be making their way up towards them with No Name playing underneath. Meanwhile, some horrible Maggie Qs coming out there for Oirain. Doing whatever they can, the dancing, the diving, making their way, but so much damage is being expended towards him right now. Thankfully, he's surviving, even though a Sparrow ult has been placed just next to him as well. The Bangalore ult thrown, frag grenades thrown. It's really just everything they can right now to try and push their way up. But unfortunately, the first player goes down, and that is going to be Slab, who is the only one who can create cover with those rampart walls. Mean Guys surely are going to be cleaning up Aurora right now. And it's going to be the Octane of all characters who swings round, finishes off Slab, and down go Aurora. As DMG, I believe, is pushing in from this.
Yeah, Mean Guys, the team that landed Barometer, very happy that they got their zone pull. We doubted whether or not this comp could make it work inside of a zone, but they are doing a pretty solid job so far. Jose will get a kill onto Hambino, though. That means DMG could maybe activate, but DMG are going to lose one to Cody. And that means that maybe it's time for Gyose and them to start to take some KP. DMG have to portal future streams back to their team, as Gyose and their squad is probably going to look for the kills, but then Sang gets a knockdown with a Riot Drill. A knock right out there for DJ Killa, who got the reset, and now their team looks to be in the best spot. They'll get the finish onto Sang, finishing off the kill that was found by Gyose, and they will take all of the height, seemingly entirely to themselves. A team just on the low ground right ahead. It's going to be a little bit dangerous to try and work their way forward with this, but for now, they seem to be chilling in a really good spot up on this height, and everybody else, it's just free shots looking down at them.
This is such a good spot here for DMG, and they've done an incredible job over the course of this game to take fights that they knew that they could win inside of the buildings. We saw that a little bit earlier, but also to hold off when people have pushed onto them. DMG are showing exactly why they are the lobby leaders right now and why they are going to be an absolute powerhouse going into the match point finals tomorrow. They have currently got the height, they've currently got the zone, and I would not be surprised if they come away with the win right now. Mean Guys currently having to play as a duo out towards the sort of west-hand side of the zone, and No Name jump into the sky. What are they doing right now? They're just going to go for second place, I think. They're going to try and take down the duo, and it's going to allow DMG to come away as the victors. Unfortunately, Unemployed Chocks goes down. One player remaining for the Mean Guys, and it's just P2020s blazing down John Wick style right now for DJ as No Name are taken down. DMG are your champions of game number 4 and are showing exactly why they are the best team in this lobby right now.
Oh, no doubt after that win as well. But a really disappointing play at No Name. They make the play to go the Valcolt and then recognize it's a duo. We just need to lock in second, and then they get third still. They couldn't wipe the duo in time because DMG were so active at stepping in the moment. There were trades on that low ground. That's not a play that isn't thought through. That's not just, oh, let's see if we can go take the fight. That's recognizing what's going on. That's recognizing the intents of the other teams and then looking down to maximize your KP. Could they have just sat up on height, waited until someone got fully finished off before stepping in? Yeah, they could have, but that would have been missing out on 1 or 2 extra kills. That would have been missing out on 1 or 2 extra points. That's what top level IGLs are thinking about, and that's what DMG are thinking about throughout the course of their games. That's exactly why they've maximized their point potential so much up to this point, and it leaves them comfortably in first place on the lobby. They had 51 coming in. They were already well and truly locked in the grand finals, but they want that first draft pick guaranteed as well.
I mean, they had 51 coming into this. They're going away with another 29, 17 kills to their name. They cleaned up this lobby right now. And you mentioned there that No Name, disappointing for them, trying to play for second place. They didn't even get that. The Mean Guys coming in with a second place and 7 kills as well, which means leaves No Name with a third, which you can't be too mad at your placement points with that. But only 3 kills is not going to be great for them, where they started this lobby in 12th position. It will push them up, but it is not going to be pushing them up too far, I believe. Going up into 9th position now. Which it looks like at the moment, solid. This looks like the previous. This is what it was going into this. There you go. This is setting the stage before this resets. But as you can see, going into this, DMG had a lovely 51 points. No Name. They needed the points. They needed the kills. Only had 12 points in 12th position. So coming third with 3 is not that great for them. It does get them into that top 10, into 9th place. But with only 22 points, they're 1 point off right now, getting pushed into the redemption round.
They're going to get pushed back into it. That's going to be very exciting for everybody to watch as the tournament goes on. Those redemption rounds, they'll get close for sure. But I think a couple teams now locking themselves into not needing to worry about those. I'd say our top 5 seems pretty comfortable for now, but anything can happen going into the future games. But for now, we are all good on on Storm Point rather. We are not done with E District. We are still yet to even start it. We're going to give all of our end as well as the players a little bit of a break between maps, but when we come back, it's E District ready to see who gets into that top 10 to sneak into the grand finals and who gets sent down to the redemption rounds. Two games to go to see the final teams locking themselves into that grand final tomorrow, that match point final tomorrow, as we are back on board with our winners finals. We've seen a lot of teams make their claim to possibly getting into that top 10, and a couple of names that we saw have some good games early on, maybe fading out by this point in the series. A couple teams making some very recent surges, starting to sneak back up into that top 10 setting. But now's about the time when we look away from the teams having great games, the DMGs, the 5 stars, the Mean Guys, and we look towards the teams having pretty good days who are excited and eager to prove themselves as worthy of sneaking into that grand final.
I mean, absolutely. We're looking right now at that bench. The sort of the teams we said 30 points at the beginning, and so I'm going to look at 30 points and below, and that goes from Gooning to Wig, who came first place in our game number 1, who are currently sat in 6th position but on 30 points. They need to try and get just a few placements, a few good kills to try and secure themselves. Beneath them, Zesty Besties on 26, Lost at Sea 22, No Name 22, and Fully Torch, your 10th place team, on 21. Beneath them, Team Inferno also on 21, with Enigma not too far behind on 17, and Asian Banger in 16th with 16 points. It is all to play for as we go into E District. And one thing I do want to know as we go into this next zone is we have actually got Aurora in this lobby, who at the moment have obviously landed down towards Humbert Labs. But in the session number 1, they won both of their games on this map. So I'm interested to see whether they can replicate that and become the E District Demons. We'll have to wait and see, as it is going to be pulling its way over towards Mantinos and the Mean Guys as well, who, again, have got a favorable zone for themselves.
Yeah, it's definitely going to pull a little bit to the side of eBank. I'm pretty sure this one ends in that like little triangle between eBank and Neon Square. Most zones that end up looking like this end up pulling to that spot just because, you know, it's a little too far over to end up in eBank, but there really aren't any Neon Square endings unless they like are kind of towards the south end. At least I've barely seen any that aren't towards the very edge. So this is going to be an interesting one because it's another one of those zones where there isn't really a great spot to get to early. There are like good spots to get to early, but eventually you have to start clearing teams on your side of the ring. You can't just take the spot that's technically the height in that little triangle early on, because then teams who walk in from eBank will easily be able to fight you from the choke. Then teams who walk up or north or south from either direction could easily end up taking fights onto you. So it'll be interesting to see how those first rotators end up playing this. But Team Inferno not going to be rotating early. Instead, going to be taking quite a long time on their rotate. Not really by choice, but it's because 421 are running right at them from Angel's Atrium. 421, a team with 0 points through 4 games, now at one of the worst POIs on the map. It is clear desperate times call for desperate measures, and those measures are running right at one of the better teams in this lobby.
I mean, unfortunately, though, for 421, they've got I Don't Know moving up behind. Both teams on 0 points going into this game, and both who need points. Big shots there coming out from the Crypto, though, taking down the players. And at the moment, 421 and I Don't Know are going up against each other and might well both be cleaned up because of this aggressive push. Team Inferno, who are in 11th position right now, are going to need these teams taken out so that they can secure themselves into a top 10 position. Enigma, meanwhile, doing a nice little finisher, which I always love to see.
Yeah, they'll get that confirmed, locked in on Juicy Schmooze. That's one member of, not Wig's Ball Sweat, but rather Gooning to Wig. I've got my Wig-related gooning names mixed up. But 421 will be taken down by Team Inferno. So seemingly IDK still not even picking up any KP. Maybe they got 1 or 2. But one of our teams stuck on 0 points will still be there through 5 games after their attempt to run Inferno goes wrong. The Gen is helping out quite a bit here for Inferno, but now that it's gone, they've got to start to fight their way out because the nades are going to make that spot unplayable. Wraith Q is going to keep that Wraith up for just a little bit longer as well, and it's Wiz to go down first within this fight. Somehow, that great advantage that IDK had coming into this engagement, having Inferno stuck inside of a hotel, has completely been turned against them. The Syracuse are going to be effective, but still not a single knock picked up on Inferno. And Viguk is going to take his team and command that they run for the hills. There is no reason to stick around. The suppress on Grems is going to be important because that means he can't quite pop his Q. But now that he's already popped it, the next Q not going to matter. Or at least the next Syracuse not going to matter. But Grems is still stuck back here. He's got to ask for help. Otherwise, he's going to be dying on an island. It's Caden, though, to get the knockdown. It's not even IDK. This fight got thirded. And now Caden and I believe Zesty Besties come through for a little bit more KP.
5-star are the ones that end up pushing up onto Team Inferno to take them out. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if they've actually got any kills yet, which is unbelievable considering that a whole team has gone down and a member of Team Inferno, but I don't know, are in a bit of a rough position as 5-star are flying away. I mean, this is already an interesting start to this lobby. I'm interested to see what ends up happening as Mean Guys also look like they are going to be getting into a fight very soon up against Lithium Esports.
And it's Mean Guys going for as aggressive a fight as ever. Hambino on the Sparrow, even trying to get a little bit more active than usual since that Crypto was banned earlier on, but great shots out of Hazel are going to shut down Cody for standing a little too still. Now Hambino going to get a little higher up to try and look over everything else, try and take some good shots down. We'll get a nice headshot out of Crusader Ronok. And so Mean Guys are instantly going to be able to turn this fight back around. Sang, who recently ran for the hills the other direction, is going to come back and try and sandwich LGC inside of that building. He is basically trying to 1v3 at the moment, but it's Newcastle Rampart, so it's not the kind of composition you can push into without regretting it. And Mean Guys, as a result, don't want to be left with those regrets. So they know better than to push it right now. Maybe give it a second. Wait until maybe that Newcastle wall isn't charged anymore so you can sneak a Sparrow ult behind it or some nades in through the doorway. Either way, pushing that Sheila with those walls still standing is not a good idea. The Maggie Q gets in, Sang gets in behind it, but he gets down first. Hazel with a good knock, but it's a response out of Cody, and it's everybody else on Mean Guys picking up the slack for Sang. And a really solid fight to win out the bottom of Neon Square, somehow not thirded despite how central zone this building is going to be.
Meanwhile, we are seeing Angry Hornet getting some kills in the feed, as well as Lina Bob's victim. So, Asian Banger now being taken down to a 2. We're not going to like to see that. This is going to be a big fight that's potentially going to be breaking out right now between the Dill Ducks, Zesty Besties, Fully Talked, and Asian Banger who are next to each other. Meanwhile, we are going to be seeing the continuation of the fight that we saw a little bit earlier on. I don't know, up against Team Inferno. Team Inferno now moving up into the building, as I don't know, are going to be having to try and use those rampart walls, and potentially a little kidnap attempt coming out there from the Wraith. Unfortunately for Inferno, it doesn't quite happen. I don't know, it's managing to survive from there.
They're keeping themselves up. Wiz, though, not able to do that. They're continuing to get pushed by Inferno, doing a lot of chip damage, but just not able to finish off anyone. Different members of Inferno popping out from different doorways, different avenues of attack like it's whack-a-mole, and IDK just cannot keep a cap on this situation. Here they go again, back in through the Wraith portal. The Wraith will take a Q as Grems knows he's not in a great position, but they're continuing to put pressure on this team up top just to make sure they can't revive. Just to make sure that this stays a 3 versus 2. Eventually, they'll get their good entry, but BlazeQ with a really nice kill onto VGuck. Grems at 1 HP as well means it's time for Rapping to step up. Rapping's actually just going to step out instead. Try and move out towards the storefront, but he'll die to KJ the Pro, fully torqued. Coming through for the third party, and BlazeQ gets body blocked trying to pop a Wraith portal. It's left to just Zillage for IDK, and I don't even know if they got any kills up to this point. But whether they got a point on the board for the first time in 4 games or not, it's kind of just semantics. A team tied for dead last coming into this game may well almost be tied for dead last coming out of it. 18th place, and presumably no KP is the best that IDK could do, but there's another fight following it up right after, with Fully Torqued continuing to run down a different team and finishing them off as well.
It's going to be Dill Ducks that they push. Dill Ducks try to fourth party even, but unfortunately do get wiped by Fully Talked. Team Inferno, meanwhile, are staying in the area, so Fully Talked might actually be able to get a couple more kills, as Mantinos are also in the nearby vicinity as well. So in Team Inferno are potentially at the wrath of both Fully Talked and Team Inferno if they do get caught out. We'll have to wait and see if they do fall in the kill feed. Meanwhile, Brown are looking to get aggressive and are pushing up onto Team Aurora with Seeds nearby as well.
I really like this position for Brown, and I love how they're playing it, but Hayarka is going to play it even better. The Sparrow ultimate and the shots are going to combine to take down February. Now Jacob and January going to have to do this together. Port right on top of their heads. The knockdown shield will block some of the thermite charge, and even though they do get knocked by that thermite eventually, they take the port and they will start a reset. It's not likely that Aurora is going to chase this, because they'd be chasing down to a very poor position. Now the Rampart wall can get set up to completely demolish anybody who ends up taking that portal. Reset for Brown, but now look at where they're at. Quite a terrible position to try and get out of, but they will be able to get out of it all the same.
I mean, for now, Brown are actually okay. They don't have too many people near them. On their side, there's just a solo with Enigma. You've also got HYK on the other side of the buildings, but Mantanos are going to be in a fight right now up against the Zesty Besties. We know how good the Zesty Besties can be in their fighting. And Butts has managed to get himself back into the building, so is going to be surviving for now. The res is going to come out, but Zesty Besties are going to be pushing full force right now. The Rampart, the Maggie, but unfortunately it's the Wraith that goes down first. Can Angry Hornet do enough right now to fight back and take them down? Thankfully right now they do manage to take down Den Pride. And it is, I believe, a 2v2, but there's another team coming in, and who else is it but Fully Talked? They have got to look out right now. The third party is almost upon them.
The res outside is dangerous, but they do get Deadly Seuss back up all the same. And Zesty Bestie's just going to take control of this building. Just want to have somewhere to call home while they try and get Deadly Seuss's HP back up, while they try and get everybody back in shape. Mentally, physically, in all of the capacities, so they can prepare for the rotate ahead. It's not going to be a long rotate, but it is an important one, because sneaking through that next up choke, presumably they're going to try and go to the east side of choke, because that looks to be a little bit of a better position to get into if this continues to pull back towards the triangle, which it seems like it will. But now they've got to try and make that rotate happen. The team on their north side, though, has rotated away, so that's going to give them a lot more space to work with, a lot more room to breathe, and some time to loot as well.
What you also saw there is I mentioned that Fully Talked came in to try and third party that. The third party didn't happen because of how well Zesty Besties had managed to hold down the building. And so Fully Talked actually opted to drop an evac tower and rotate themselves into the zone. They still do have Mantanos nearby, so Zesty Besties might be able to pick up the duo kill. We'll have to wait and see whether that does happen. Meanwhile, Lost at Sea are currently in a good position at the top of this building. Fully Talked did, as we mentioned, evac tower and landed very close by. Meanwhile, two at the south, Mean Guys and HYK potentially going to be getting into a fight.
To the south, Enigma also going to try and rotate in. Clover X taking the lead, the only one on purple shields. Going to be a tough rotate. Looks like they might have spotted someone dropping right ahead of them. No, that's a Mirage clone. That fooled me and them just about as effectively as each other. As Angus is going to try and work his way forward. They're going to see if they can maybe just get somewhere, even somewhat safe for right now, but that's not going to be possible if they continue to get this much pressure put on them by Enemigo and their squad. Gyose is going to take another one, and Clover was barely allowed to get into a corner, but he was soon thereafter caught out. No Name takes some KP, a team that could really use it right now in the fight for 10th place, and they've also locked in an extra point in placement as well, as we're into the top 15, and it pulls right back towards them.
It is going to be pulling right back towards them. Everybody who banked on a neon square zone are not going to be happy right now. Brown, we said that they were in a tough position a little bit earlier. They're actually going to be very close to where No Name is right now, and we're surprised that they didn't end up trying to maybe third party that fight with No Name were in. As Lost at Sea, as we can see, are flying in via whether that's an evac tower or a Valkyrie ultimate. We're not too sure, but they have managed to find themselves a spot inside of the zone. Up in the north, meanwhile, at the very north of the map, we do have 5-star up against Seeds, trying to go into this building with a Maggie Q and a Maggie Ball also coming out. But unfortunately, the Maggie Ball does not hit. They do have the double drill, though, so they're going to be able to continue to push on in. Really important. They're taking down the Watson, the Wraith, and I think it's just one player left remaining for Seed. They are indeed going to be taken out. Seeds are down and out. The DMG are going to be coming in to try and punish them.
Oh, but DMG going to get punished instantly. Look at Caden with those shots. And help from Dark as well to make it such a quick kill. But it looks like the res happened instantly. As 5-star, now they're getting put on the back foot because Deadly Seuss comes through with a third party out of Zesty Besties. Caden just sitting on low ground, not going to be allowed to sit for long as DMG will take that kill, and it's left to just Dig Vibes. 5-star overstepping their own boundaries, getting a little bit too aggressive. And though DMG did get knocked initially first off, that reset is fully allowed. However, they aren't really in a good spot. They're sitting behind a Newcastle wall in a spot that is barely inside the next ring. They will outlive Manitos, though, who die in 14.
Manitos taken down by Fully Talked, and they are now going to be going up against Mean Guys in a second as well, whereas DMG are still underneath this bridge trying to hold it off. Mean Guys have had Hambino taken down by Fluent, as well as Fully Talked also losing out on Kate's 5-star elimination from this, as teams are starting to fall on the edge of the zone right now. This is not a great zone in terms of positionings where you can play, and basically everybody is currently hugging the edge, just trying to survive for now, waiting until this next ring closes. As Mean Guys are eliminated, 9 squads remaining. We've got 1 minute until this ring closes, where even more teams are going to be falling. Brown, though, have actually got a good spot up on this height, but unfortunately January is about 8 million miles away and is taken out.
Oh, they may have to go rescue Saving Private January right now. They do look to get really good angles on the team that killed him, but DMG gonna get taken down by Zesty Besties. Now Zesty Besties gonna get taken down by another team coming into the picture. It's Aurora with the first knockdown, and they'll be able to lock out everything. 2 kills for them. 1 kill goes to DJ Killa, but he wasn't alive to tell the tale or get the credit. Aurora take this spot towards the bottom of the river, which isn't very good to play, but is about the best that anybody could ask for at a ring like this. Brown do manage to get their teammate back up, and now they're entering the respawn that's happening straight in front of them. The Moby barely gets popped, but now the player who popped it may get popped himself as Jacob pulls up and tries to do some big damage. Around the corner, he will manage to spot the escaping Bangalore, and he'll take a kill. That's fully torqued. Losing Lunix, getting 2 players back into the lobby, but they will be dropping right on the heads of Brown, who do still need to move forward themselves as well.
This is surely going to be the end here. Fully Talked, who do indeed fall. They tried to stick to res. It was only a solo that they managed to get the banner of, and unfortunately it was not enough. Down to our final 5 squads, and we alluded at the beginning of this that Aurora had a 100% win rate on this map so far. They are now down to the final 4 squads, and they are in an excellent position. As we can see right now, Rampart walls being put out, so much damage opportunities for them, and they have got the zone on their side. No Name are meanwhile going to be getting into a fight right now up against Brown. Aurora able to look out potentially over this, as well as Lost at Sea, who are your other full 3 stack. This is a full 3 squads remaining.
No Name may quickly be taken away from that. No longer holding all 3. They almost lose the Mirage, but he's barely able to keep himself up. They're doing big damage to the other side, but eventually the Mirage will fall. Pipex also going to lose a lot of HP himself, but they're seeing red just on the other side of 1 red box. Through that box, even more bright, shining red on the other side. If they can just do a little more damage to prompt that entry, they got the finish onto February, thanks to that Arc Star from Vermilion, and they will eventually get the kills that they wanted, but it wasn't even their choice to go for him. Jacob just runs them down and gives his life away. Another point granted to Gyose for doing pretty much nothing, but looking at the same spot he'd been looking at for quite some time. Gyose even gets the last kill into January as well, so 3v3v3 for our final ring, with Aurora controlling the middle.
I mean, Aurora are in a really good spot right here. They have got the zone pulling their way, but they do have Lost at Sea up on this bit of height. I wouldn't be surprised if Aurora do try and just put a little bit of pressure onto Lost at Sea to maybe try and push them into the way of No Name. They've obviously got the Rampart with a fully loaded Sheila to put out that damage, but unfortunately Lost at Sea are looking their way, and it is going to be a really difficult one to call right now in terms of who's going to be able to take this, because No Name right now, although they're not in a great position down on the low ground, they're not being looked at. So Aurora and Lost at Sea's fight might actually end up giving No Name the win, which is something they 100% need coming into this game in 9th position. Aurora are going to be getting aggressive now, pushing their way up onto Lost at Sea, and they've taken this spot away from them, as No Name actually, as we mentioned, do end up coming in from the low ground.
That's a really good play out of Aurora to recognize that you need to take this height away. You can't just look at No Name. You need to kill Lost at Sea. Otherwise, they will kill you later. Now, they have the height. They don't have center zone anymore, though, and there are still 3 squads alive. So they're actually going to need to move soon. Lost at Sea playing it so passive has inadvertently screwed over Aurora as well as themselves and given a really good spot to No Name. But Lost at Sea will all die without anybody on either side. that's still alive now, losing a member, but Aurora's going to make sure that changes immediately. Gyoze and Enemigo go down first, Oirain falls right after that, but now it's a 1-on-3 for the last remaining member of No Name, and there are nobody left for their squadron when Aurora comes through and has their way. It was a really solid lobby for Aurora, despite not quite getting that standout win just yet. They finally do what they couldn't get done in Game 3 and get their first win of the lobby. A team everybody expected to have a good game, finally stepping up.
Aurora right there. We mentioned it at the beginning. Are they going to become the E-District Demons? This is the map that they already have shown this evening that they know how to get wins on. And once again, their third time visiting the map, and it's their third victory already. That is going to be absolutely massive for Aurora with 12 kills to boot, 24 points. That's going to be pushing them really nicely up, probably into second position as well, which is exactly where they started this in the POI draft, which means they're going to be able to get probably a lot of their pick of the POIs based on just this game alone.
Yeah, and we saw how good their POIs have been. You alluded to it there. They've got some outstanding POIs. I think E-District is technically speaking their worst POI, but it's worst because they're in Blossom. Or no, that's Mean Guys rather. Aurora's in Humbert. That's a really good worst POI to have. They've got Humbert. They're already coming out of Downed Beast and the Climatizer. Those are 3 really solid POIs. And so I think they've realized from experience just how much it can help to get a really good early pick, because that has boosted them up to being the second best team in the lobby right now by total score. DMG still holds first after a solid game, but nothing really to write home about for them, just a 9th place with 1 kill. A 5-star sneaking into 3rd place after a 12th with 5. Mean Guys also still holding up the top of that leaderboard. What we really got to look at is just around 10th place. Lost at Sea, barely keeping their heads above water with that 3rd place, just near teams like Team Inferno below them and Gooning to Wig above them.
Completely agree that although this is very exciting at the top with Aurora and DMG, what now is going to be the most exciting thing is going to be that 10th position. We mentioned how 30 points was around about the benchmark that you sort of tended to see. However, as you alluded to, when people maybe start to not perform as well towards the bottom, or maybe there is an overperformance at the top, as we're seeing from DMG and Aurora, that point gap can actually increase just a little bit, and that's exactly what we're seeing. I would not be surprised if we're seeing around about sort of 35-point cutoff right now, and with Inferno on 27, 3 points below Lost at Sea, they are the team that I am most excited for to see what they're going to do in this, because they had a bit of a tough run in that game with 2 teams at the very bottom pushing up to them, and if that happens again, it could be game over and a hello to the redemption session for Team Inferno.
And Team Inferno haven't really had a bad day. They've had 1 game where they got 15th. Other than that, they've been getting at least 5 points a game. Their worst game was the 10th with 3, other than the 15th that I mentioned before. They just haven't had a really good game yet. And so they're just below teams like Lost at Sea, who managed to pull out a full win. And even then, last game, getting a 3rd place. Though they only got 1 kill, still managing that 3rd place. They've got more really solid games. They've got more really, really good games than Team Inferno, just barely edging them out up to this point. Gooning to Wig getting a 5-kill win in game 1 and then having a solid day, much like Team Inferno after it. But that 1st place makes all the difference. That makes up for something. But Team Inferno have been gaining on teams like that slowly but surely. And even behind Team Inferno, pretty much everybody that isn't already in the top 10 or Team Inferno needs a really good game to get there. I mean, the best team that isn't Inferno, that also isn't in the top 10, is Enigma in 12th place at 20 points. You're expecting a 35-point cutoff? That means we need a 15-point game for them. I would imagine, as high quality as this lobby has been all day, we're going to start to see it fall off just a little bit here, as we've already had 1 team pretty much give up. It's our boys, 421. 5 games in, 0 points to their name. They didn't even try for the 6th.
I mean, it's a tough one. They're probably going to be going away, trying to sort of recoup and game plan, because they had a really good set number 1. And it's something which is a tough thing to to sort of go into is like, you know what, you've played really well in set 1. Why is it not happening in set 2? And unfortunately, right now, we've got Fluent being taken down by Keepster. Enigma are one of those teams that we mentioned need to get some big points. They've already got the first knock on the board, and they are going to be getting aggressive right now, pushing up onto Goon for Wig. And this is not good for Goon for Wig. Goon for Wig are currently in 9th position, 32 points to their name. They cannot be going out right now, because if they do, it might well be Enigma that takes their place.
That's exactly, I guarantee you, what Enigma is thinking right now, especially because it's gooning for Wig. This is a team like Enigma is looking at like Free KP, because they've barely got any kills all game. That's one of those teams that's much better at getting to zone faster, but playing at a shipyard, it's just not quite there. It's a polar bear in Arlington, Texas. You're a zone team out of a hard-edged POI. And so that's exactly what Keepstar and the gang are looking to take advantage of, as Seeds, a team that has had a very uneventful game set so far on the whole. On the wrong end of a fight, though, Charmander is able to knock and finish off Pipex, so it looks like they're actually in quite a good spot in a macro sense. I think there might only be one player left alive on the team they were fighting against. Is Fully Torqued. They're also on the wrong end of a fight. It seems like my assumption that we'd have a lot of inting early was correct. HYK officially sent to the redemption round. Mean Guys not going to be sent to the redemption round, but they're also out in 18th place.
The Mean Guys going down is good for 5-star. Aurora means that they're not going to be getting overtaken in the leaderboard. But Mean Guys, there is a chance that they potentially fall down, maybe a place or two, but they're going to be pretty happy going into the finals. Seas, meanwhile, have managed to get a reset, and that is good for them because they've basically only really had one good game, and that was the one down by Downed Beast. So for them, currently sat on 11 points in 17th, they need one of those big games, as do the Dill Ducks, who are throwing out any sort of nade that they can to try and get damage. Lin Bob's Victim is just juicing up right now and is going to be trying to get aggressive on this. They've got the jump pad, they've got the Seer, and they have got the Mirage as well to try and cause chaos and destruction onto this team right now. It is going to be Lithium Esports with Fully Torqued as a solo just nearby as well.
Yeah, Slowakin's going to start to get a little aggressive. The Mirage Qs are confusing everybody, but they just can't get that opening knock that they want so badly. Same can't be said for Brown, who get the knock and the finish on the Juicy Schmoves. A nightmare game for Gooning to Wig, and it seems like they've got the last player on that squadron in their sight lines as well. Jacob staring down that final remaining member of Gooning to Wig, at least I'm assuming that's who it is, just on the wrong spot at the wrong time. Future Streams knocked down in the kill feed, but it looks like Brown, the next team who should find a kill, unless they don't. I don't know what's going on, as No Name will lose players as well. And Amigo left as just a wrap, but Gooning to Wig eventually are taken down. That is huge for teams like Team Inferno, Lost at Sea, Enigma, Dill Ducks, and everybody who's just outside that top 10 looking in.
Gooning for Wig not even getting a kill either, which means that they are going to be finishing this right now on 32, which means that they might well end up becoming the cutoff for this. Meanwhile, we are actually seeing DMG getting taken down by Aurora. What this means is Aurora have got the opportunity to potentially close this one out, because if they win yet another game on E-District, they will take that top spot away from DMG. Lost at Sea, meanwhile, are down to just a solo. They are the team just below Gooning for Wig. And Gooning for Wig are going to be praying and hoping that Lost at Sea get taken down right now. They do indeed, without a kill to their name, down with just 30 points. I mean, we said at the beginning, a 30-point as just a roundabout thing. That might actually end up becoming the cutoff right now, which is utterly insane to think that we said that at the beginning. Going out on 30 points is Lost at Sea, and Gooning for Wig in 9th on 32. Team Inferno, meanwhile, do need these points. They've got at least 2 kills to their name, plus a placement point, which means that they are now going to be on 30 points.
I was going to say, look at who it is to kill them. I'm pretty sure this is the team that just knocked out the team right above them. I'm pretty sure that it was Inferno killing Lost at Sea, and in the process of doing that, getting 2 more points and tying themselves with Lost at Sea. Now, Lost at Sea does still have tiebreaker, so Inferno needs 1 more point to, at least for now, tentatively give themselves top 10. If they go down soon, though, everybody below them easily can sneak into that top 10 if they get like a 13, 15-point game. Dildux, one of those teams that's not just behind Team Inferno, they're a good bit behind them. So they need to win some fights, but they're losing this initial one. It's Moto, who's had such a good day otherwise, going down at the worst time, but the trade is in. His teammates are there when he needs them, and Manitos will go down, but notice how one of those kills goes to Lunix. That means Lunix is right here. That means Fully Torqued are looking to finish things off and take the Dildux for themselves. Fully Torqued get a really good knock to try and make the entry happen. Another one found on a Flinzar, and although they're dying to the storm, they can get right back in, no problem. The problem now is, can you finish off this squad? Where did that last member go for this squad? He's gotten away. The Dildux have up and ran away from the situation towards Riverside. The finish will come through on a 2/3 of Dildux, but the squad's hopes will remain as the Rat tries to escape.
One thing I do want to note right now is in zone, there's only 4 teams. One of them is Aurora and one of them is Team Inferno, and they are fighting right now. As you've just seen, Aurora have got the first knock in that fight. However, Grems has managed to take down Hayaka, but Inferno fall. This is heartbreaking for Inferno because it's going to go down to the tiebreaker as to whether they do end up getting through. We'll have to wait and see what the leaderboard does say at the end of this, but Inferno have potentially fallen out just a point short, which would be utterly heartbreaking for them. That being said, I mean, Lost at Sea, if they have won that tiebreaker, they are absolutely holding on to hope now that Enigma are not going to be able to do anything, as Enigma are going to be looking for seeds, trying to get some more kills on the board, as Asian Banger are going to be taking down Angry Hornet of the Zesty Besties.
DMG fully finished off, so more points to the teams who need them the most. Fully Torqued are no longer one of those teams, as the kills they locked in pretty much cemented them as just above 35 points, and with all the teams we're seeing dying at around 30, they should be chilling. Zesty Besties, they are also probably all right. I think they locked in a couple of kills here or there. They were at 36 coming in. They got at least 1 placement point. They should be good. No Name, another team that should be okay. They came into this at 38 points. I think they're well and truly past anything, especially with Zesty Besties dying before them. But still, we'll have to see what goes on. Seeds are not okay, though. They've gone down, and unless they somehow off-screen got like 30 kills, they will be going to the redemption round with only 8 squads left on Ring 2 closing. It is insane to think that the game has gotten to this point here with Lithium Esports and Asian Banger, 2 teams who really need the points right now, closing things out.
What I do want to just know, I've just had a little look. Enigma currently deep inside of the zone. They've got Brown just ahead of them. And I was a little bit worried about this because Enigma versus Brown could be a big fight for the overall placement. But I've just had a look at Enigma's kills. Currently, they are sat on 7 kills. Being with 8 squads remaining, they've got an extra 2 placement points. 9 kills to their name. They have been pushing themselves up. They're just 1 point now behind. However, this fight is actually huge, and if Enigma go down, they will fall 1 point short just again.
No, there's no way. It can't end like that. Meanwhile, Asian Banger are trying to take LGC Crusader Ronak and the gang out of it. Another set of kills for the double Mozams, and they get the res onto the player downstairs as well. So it's just 1 player left for LGC. He's trying to fight around the knockdowns. Will get a good knock on the first. That's Zephyr stepping in for more, but only 40 HP left on him, and it's just a matter of time until Asian Banger get closer and closer to making a miracle happen. They came into this in 14th place on 17 points. Needed close to 13 to make it, and they're getting closer and closer with every single kill.
6 kills now to Asian Banger. That is big because currently now in 7th position, again, they're going to be 9. They've got 9 points. That puts them 4 points short, I believe, if my maths is correct, which it very often isn't. Not great at maths. But they have got a great position in the zone. And with Fully Torqued coming in as a solo just beneath them, there is a chance that they might be able to pick up another one right now.
Enigma is in a really bad spot. They just rezzed in draft point on this zone towards Heights, so they're going to take quite a while to get in. Fully Torqued is a rat. I don't know is still alive. They had no points coming into E-District, and I don't think there are enough points left for them to even get to qualify. But it would be so funny if that team somehow made it after having no points coming into E-District. But it really is all eyes on Asian Banger, as well as Dildux trying to sneak their way in through E-Bank because they got the full reset off. So Dildux, Asian Banger, Enigma, just a few teams that could really use these points. Aurora fully torqued and Brown, they are all pretty much set. And then I don't know. I mean, they could use the points, but I really don't even think anything they do could be enough at this point.
I mean, to be honest, I don't know. It's really just trying to get some reps in, trying to build some momentum before they fall into that redemption round, and also to get themselves a slightly better position in the POI draft for that redemption round. Meanwhile, Dildux have managed to knock the shield onto the Maggie. The Octane jump pad is coming out right now from Linabob's victim. Shots is trying to be thrown out, but unfortunately the Maggie does finish him. But the assist coming out from his teammate, Flinzar taking down Jacob, and he's going to be now in a 2 versus 2, but the res has come out. Linabob's victim is back on their feet as nades are being thrown out. This is an insane fight right now because the ring is closing, and it's closing fast.
No, Enigma is also out here, and I don't know. Everybody that's left that still needs points, pretty much, other than Asian Banger, is dying trying to get them on the edge, and Flinzar, the only one left for his team, is going to get abandoned in the zone. Ring 3 hurts. I don't think he can catch up. Even if he does, there's a team right in front of him, and he's not going to have a chance. I don't think that's enough for Dildux. Brown and Fully Torqued are also gone, though, so more points on the board for teams like I don't know, for teams like Asian Banger, for teams like Enigma, none of whom have died. Enigma looking better and better to try and sneak into that top 10, but because Inferno and Lost at Sea were both towards 30 and Gooning to Wig only got 32, there's a chance that both Enigma and Asian Banger could sneak into that top 10. Still not really sure about I don't know, but let's entertain it just for entertainment's sake.
I think absolutely we entertain this. My maths is normally bad, but I do think that Enigma have secured themselves in that. Because of that push through, and because we did have Dildux fall as well as Brown, it does mean that Enigma have secured themselves into the top 10.
Okay.
But unfortunately, that does mean then that we have got Lost at Sea being sent to the redemption round. Right now, Gooning for Wig is basically praying and hoping that Asian Banger don't win this, because if Asian Banger win this, which at the moment they are looking very likely they might, because they're the only team in zone and they're the only team who've got height. It might well be that Asian Banger and Enigma are going to be able to make their way in, but Enigma trying to do what they can. Clover ducking, diving, do get taken down by I don't know. Last 3 squads remaining. Asian Banger have got the zone, they've got the positioning, they've got the weapons. Surely this is one for them to win, but we do have the Demons of E-District still here.
Yeah, I mean, Asian Banger are on like about, I mean, the top 3 locked in is 7 points there. They've got at least 5 KP. I can round it up to 6. So that makes 13 points. That should be enough to hit 30, but you don't need 30 anymore. Enigma snuck just past that, maybe 31, 32. And Gooning to Wig, just praying that this team dies now, not later, not at any other moment. As Asian Banger still have good sightlines on Aurora, these teams are kind of settling in for an end game here. And it's going to just be whoever ends up taking that first fight that ends up giving the other team the win. You'd have to imagine. I don't know. Do have buildings ahead of them they could play for. They can do just that. But it's not going to be super comfortable with Asian Banger having so much control over this height.
And Asian Banger have got such a good spot to win here. As we did mention, though, Aurora are still here, and they have got the opportunity as Zilak does get taken down. This is potentially, if that kill goes through, I do believe that will secure Asian Banger as our winners of, as our final team making it through into the redemption round. So right now, Gooning for Wig are just praying. They are hoping that Aurora can come up and push forward as Wiz gets taken down. I don't know, we're in a world of pain right now, and it is not looking good for them. Aurora, meanwhile, on that low ground, doing what they can. Hayaka is putting out that damage with the scout, doing some really good smokes as well, just trying to obscure the vision away. Popping some ultimate accelerants as well, so that they can ensure that they've got that Bangalore ultimate, so that they can look to push heights very shortly.
Boki, who ended up getting his kill on his Zilach. I think that could do it. You want the
so
insurance,
well.
though. You want to be sure. You want to be absolutely certain. Top 2, we can be sure. Top 1, you can get a pretty solid draft pick out of that as well. And top 2 locked in. Now that Boki the one to get the kill as well. Even more points locked in for Asian Banger. I think it's a welcome to the top 10 for them. But it's time to see if they can best the demons of E-District. Aurora, 3 for 3 on all of their ED games up to this point. Asian Banger in need of a match point finals berth. In their comms, they're not sure yet. They don't know what they need, and so they're not ready to relent. They have the zone coming to them, but it looks like Aurora is still inside it as well. Both teams just looking for a little bit of entry. Asian Banger having a much better go at it than Aurora are. Getting some really good damage, but not quite finding the knock they need to press the go button.
I mean, the benefit here is that Asian Banger have got the height. However, the zone is going to be pulling the way of Aurora. So Aurora have just got to basically see out this bit here, waiting until the zone closes a little bit more so that they can try and get the actual first knock onto this. Because at the moment, Asian Banger have got the benefit of this height. They've got the high ground. Anakin, do not try me is what they are saying.
As the ring closes, neither one of these teams need to move just yet. Aurora very much know how to win games like this, not just on E-District, but specifically Infests on E-District. They won every single ED game without that many teams left in that final ring. And so, of course, Aurora are going to be comfortable here, but they're not very much in a good position. They have to get to really awkward spots just to get a little bit of poke. And even then, they're fighting players on head glitches, so it might not even be worth it. But if you stop showing presence, the Maggie team is going to run up on you, take so much space, and really make you pay. But Asian Banger are not doing this. Aurora are paranoid that they're close, but they are all 3 still just on the building, waiting to get the entry before they take any space. But now Aurora is taking that space away from them and looking to get some good poke onto the players on the roof.
I mean, what's really interesting here is they have split Aurora. They've got the Bangalore and Hyaka going up, trying to take a little bit of space on that height, as you just saw, but they get cracked. Thankfully, they do have the unlimited batteries to be able to heal themselves back up. Asian Banger, meanwhile, have actually now finally dropped down, looking to try and get a little bit more aggressive, potentially, and push their way up. It is going to be finishing, as you can sort of see from the minimap, just ahead of them into the sort of where those little building things are. Where Aurora have set themselves up with a rampart. The good thing is, for Asian Bangers, they have got a Maggie, and a Maggie could be absolutely devastating right now. Some really good drills coming out from Asia. The Asian Aim Pro is potentially going to be the difference maker in this fight right now. A few ticks going out, but it is not going to be enough. And a not very good Sparrow ult coming out from Aurora there, as they are now going to be looking to get aggressive. The Bangalore ult has come out. And the swing right now from Aurora, unfortunately, playing that hole so well is going to be the Asian Aim Pro, as a Catalyst wall does come down from OZ Rain, taking down Oi Rain. And it is going to be a 1v1. Asian Banger come out as your champions. The Demons of E-District do get slain, and it is going to be Asian Banger who not only secured the final win of this winners final, but also have secured themselves a top 10 and potentially a pretty decent spot in that top 10 in the POI draft as well.
Yeah, welcome to Match Point Finals, Asian Banger, and what a banger to go out on. A first place just to be sure, even though after they had gotten second, they had already locked in that they were going to be good to go. I think they definitely could have jumped a couple more teams there with how well they played in that last game. It does mean, though, that a couple of our friends are going home. Lost at Sea and Gooning to Wig most likely are not going to be in that top 10 because Enigma was able to jump up pretty high. And then after that, Asian Banger jumping up even higher has gate kept some other squads. We'll have to wait and see, take a look at the standings to see what finally happened as the overstat is updated for us. And the final team to sneak into the top 10 that isn't Asian Banger is Enigma at 33 by 1 point. They edge out Gooning to Wig. Both they and Lost at Sea sent home. Two teams who won games in this set, finishing just barely outside the top 10. And everybody else sneaks in pretty comfortably beyond Enigma.
I also do want to know, by the way, there, as we said that Aurora pushed up onto the DMG, took them out, or at least helped take them out a little bit earlier on, and that there was the chance that Aurora were going to take the first place away from them. Actually, them losing in that 3v3 at the very end not only did it secure Asian Banger the 7th, but it also meant that Aurora had to settle for second place on the day. DMG are your champions of this winners bracket, and a well-deserved win, I believe, as well. They fought extremely well. Particularly, I do want to say that the Chaos Feelings, 20 kills, playing on Watson and Newcastle of all characters is utterly insane. But that is the end of your winners bracket. We are going to be obviously having our redemption arc. Redemption finals taking place after this. Gooning for Wig, although they obviously did fall down into the bottom, they are going to be getting that first pick, I believe, in the POI draft. So not all bad for Gooning for Wig. And with that win in game number 1, they've got a lot of hope to be taking into the redemption time. I think there's also a few teams, as we mentioned, down the bottom who are going to be hoping that the redemption lobby is going to be slightly better. Looking at you, 421. Unfortunately, I will be falling asleep pretty promptly after this over here in the UK. It is getting a little bit late for me, but I'll be up tomorrow morning watching the highlights back on the VODs over here on the YouTube channel or the Twitch. Do we know where it's going to be? I believe you.
I remember I'm assuming the VODs are public on Twitch, but also they will be published on Cracked Media's YouTube channel. If you check that out, you will be able to catch some of the VODs later.
Perfect. There we go. So for those of you who, like me, are potentially going to be falling asleep soon, make sure that you do head over to Cracked Media's YouTube tomorrow, making sure that you can watch back these VODs. I know that I certainly will be. And I hope that we're going to be seeing many of you. Well, hopefully many of you are going to be sticking around. But we also hope that we're going to be seeing a lot of you tomorrow as our Match Point Finals kicks off at around about 3 p.m. EST, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and it'll be a lot of fun.
It most certainly will.